More race cars, more action, more Vidane TV. Thank you guys so much for coming out here on a Sunday night. Check it out. Sim Racing Unleashed here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway here in Loudon, New Hampshire. The virtual Loudon, New Hampshire, brought to us by iRacing. Very cool to have the iRacing simulation on board here with us. And very good to have you guys here tuned in to Vidane TV. Showtime Paul Strickland Jr. calling some of the action here from the production trailer, doing a little double duty here. We're getting lined up and waiting for timing and scoring to get itself corrected here at the top of your screen. Once we get that green flag at lap number 1, that'll correct itself up top. But there you can see the front two cars ready to rock and roll. And we're speaking of ready to rock and roll, coming off of his solid top 10 finish here in the very last serving, or the last helping of smashed potatoes earlier on here tonight. Tim Terry from Tim's Corner Motorsports joining me in the booth here. How we doing, Tim?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that was my best ever performance, but excited to see some Sim Racing Unleashed drivers. They typically put on a really good show, and excited to see what they can do here at Loudon. It's a long race. It's 190 laps. It's almost 50% of what the Cup guys do. So hopefully these guys are ready to settle in, get a good run going, and see what we can do for a good show tonight. Some familiar names up in front with Mark Whitley going to lead the green.
Yeah, and I was watching these guys in practice here as we get down to the nitty-gritty. A couple races left here, Dover, Bristol, and then the season closer at Talladega there on May 2nd. So running out of time for these championship guys, the championship hunt drivers, to capitalize on the most points they possibly can. Currently, Mark Whitley in that 77 car leading the points. Has got a little bit of a lead over the second place position, Hunter Hayward, who you see there on your screen as well. Looks like about 23 points of a cushion there from first to second. So a little bit of a cushion, but with 4 races to go here, anything can happen in the Sim Racing Unleashed season, especially with the unknowns of Talladega being the championship race. But there we can see the pace car is going to bring these guys around. We're going to get a lap or two under caution just to get everybody finally refocused, ready to rock. And watching these guys in practice, did a lot of big pack runs and a lot of testing for just about everybody here in the field. So really looking forward to this one. Nice wide racetrack and Cup cars here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, this should be a very exciting race. New Hampshire is a wide racetrack. It's a 1-mile racetrack. Not a whole lot of banking around here in the corner, Paul, for Cup racetracks. This is a home track for you and for me as well. So this should be fun. We've seen these drivers here the last couple of weeks put on some really good shows, and expecting to see it one more time here as Whitley going to lead them to green. Hunter Hayward always puts on a good show. He'll be strong to watch from the outside of row number 1. Yarrow, McWhorter, and Stempney in your top 5 as the pace car will peel off the iRacing Mustang, field in command of Mark Whitley. There's the green. We are underway for the Sim Racing Unleashed gang at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, down into corner number 1, and Whitley going to take the advantage.
Whitley gets the pole and the jump there, holding on to that first position. But Hunter Hayward going to be the car to beat. Whoa, big wiggle there from Whitley on the inside, but he holds on to it still door to door as they head on down into turn number 3. But Hunter Hayward coming off his 3rd win in a row, and we didn't even see that here on Vidane TV. Some power troubles at the studio that evening, and then we were off last week for the Easter holiday. So it's great to see these guys back on Vidane TV as Mark Whitley's going to lead at lap number 1.
Yeah, they run down into corner number 1, lap number 1 completed. I'm interested to see how the widened groove with the Cup cars and the track layout kind of works here at Loudon, because this is the first time that I've been able to see this racetrack with this Cup car since the new build. So interested to see. Usually, Paul, we see a 1 1.25, maybe 1.5 groove racetrack. We'll see these drivers get single file and kind of find their way into line, and we're kind of seeing that throughout the top 5, top 10. There's the Cedric Hunter back there outside the top 10. The first side-by-side battle is Byron Bartlett, and I believe that might be David Neese, or that's Ethan Mawaka back there, the side-by-side, and that's about 15th place right now. There's the battle right there. Just in front of them is the battle for that position. So, and that's the best side-by-side battle, but you mentioned it earlier, Paul. It's 190 laps. This might be the best strategy right now. Just try to figure out what your car has as Byron Bartlett drives it down to the inside.
A lot of give and take here early on. The first early laps of this race here in New Hampshire. And you made mention with iRacing, they've done a lot of work with the dynamic track surfaces. So as what that basically means is the track itself is going to change throughout the race. It's going to have a lot of rubber buildup from the tires and a lot of tire fall off and all that good stuff. So and temperature changes as well in the actual racetrack surface. So lots of crazy things that iRacing has been up to in this last build, and we're always thankful for iRacing because they put in a lot of work and a lot of time to make this simulation what it is today. And you can see now pretty much everybody given a lot of room here. Lap number 5 on the board, 190 on the docket. So quick little bit of math there, single-digit numbers, 185 laps to go here at New Hampshire.
And still plenty of time to get it done. The drivers near the front of the field have found their way. Well, I was about to say found their way into a group, but the 32 of McWhorter going to come up and put a donut on the side of Hunter Hayward's car. Battle for position number 2, and McWhorter got to the inside, was able to get that run, but just the run kind of ran out in the middle of the corner, and instead of doing what he's doing right now, just kind of tried to complete that pass or tried to hang on to the inside and ended up putting a little rubber on the side of that number 21 car. But McWhorter tried to go to the outside, realized in 3 and 4 that wasn't the wisest plan, and will now duck back into line behind the Plan B Sales number 21, and they'll try to chase down Mark Whitley, who has a comfortable 3/4 of a second advantage.
Battle for second, taking a back seat just a little bit, and you can kind of tell here between the second place and third place drivers that the quickest way around this racetrack, you kind of have to utilize that second and third lane, so to speak, kind of up off of the apron just a little bit. And as these drivers were side by side a few laps ago, you'd have one guy in the second groove, one guy in the third groove, so you weren't able to really shift your position or your car up, and it almost slowed both drivers down just a little bit. But there you can see Mark Whitley, that lead about up to 0.8 of a second, almost 0.9 of a second on the second and third place, and Joseph McWhorter really making himself known behind the previous race winner there, Hunter Hayward. He's won at Pocono last time we were on the track, won at Atlanta, and he won at Darlington as well in the throwback race. So Hunter Hayward absolutely going to be the car to beat.
But right now, he might not have the very best short run car, but I think he's going to have a long run, and McWhorter may have tried to muscle his way around Hayward there once again, but Paul able to take that position away. Now Hayward falls back to position number 3. The battle in behind them starting to form as well between Stempney and Caress. That's a great little battle there for position. And I mentioned the last time I haven't done a lot of these Sim Racing Unleashed shows that you usually do here on Vidane TV, Paul, but Steven Stempney, and I believe he paints all his own race cars. And I mentioned on the last show that he had a really nice Budweiser looking scheme. Another great one here that he has brought to the racetrack at Loudon, and doing a great job on the racetrack and also in the paint shop, but he's trying to hold off Caress as Whitley continues to lead.
Yeah, a lot of cool paint schemes here in the Sim Racing Unleashed, and pretty cool to see a lot of the throwback schemes there. You can see the Budweiser scheme Tim was alluding to there, the 81. I believe he ran, that was running the Xfinity Series, quite possibly, or it may just be kind of a fantasy mashup just a little bit, mixing the colors around, the red and trading the red for the white, and kind of throwing the DEI stripes in there with the black. So looks pretty sharp. Steven Stempney done a great job on that 81 paint scheme.
And right in behind him, Caress in the 91 car went into the corner deep that last time by, and almost got into the back bumper of Stempney, and almost did, like you would see at Martinsville with the kind of the hop, the four-wheel hop. He almost did that right behind the 81, and just missed the corner a little bit, Paul. It's easy to do here at Loudon, especially with the banking the way it is, and there goes Caress to the inside, is able to capitalize on Stempney and nearly getting in the wall out of corner number 2. Thing got away from him, and now Caress going to pick up one more spot. This has been a great little battle back and forth.
Yeah, and you can really tell it didn't seem like it slowed Caress down too much. He definitely knocked the stop process off for a half a lap, maybe a lap or two. But there you can see he got right back on the gas, right back on the hammer, and he has gotten around the 81 car of Steven Stempney and putting him back into the 6th place and moving the Brandon Caress Dare Dash car up into the top 5 for the first time tonight. So doing a great job. You can see there's the 2 different lines I was talking to, kind of second and third lines up off of the racetrack, and the 91 kind of started in the entry up a little bit higher A little bit late of an apex there, kind of comes down to the second groove and comes back off up against the wall. So you really got to utilize the top half to 2/3 of the racetrack to make a quick lap time around this New Hampshire Speedway.
You can see where your favorite driver is running on the top of your screen, but Paul, we had 3 drivers that did not start this race. Aaron Bradford, Chris Miller, they both turned in practice times, have not got on the racetrack as of yet, and they are not connected to the server. Buzz, the man they know as Buzz, is connected to the server, and he has not answered the call to the green. 23 drivers are on there. Is that Bob Ross?
Look at this happy little battle right here.
This is great. We got Bob Ross and Hello Kitty. It's 2021 and never thought I'd see
it. You saw it here first on Vidane TV. A couple of drivers battling for the 7th, 8th, and 9th position. That's Cedric Hunter in the 11 car, won here on Vidane TV. A few weeks back, there you see Lane in the 5 car, the Bob Ross machine on the hood, and the 14 of Brad Delph holding strong, kind of pulling away just a little bit here so far, and long way to go. Caution flag comes out on the speedway. See a couple of cars down in there. Appears to be possibly the 24, maybe the 15 car, but caution comes out here, lap number 16.
Yeah, it looks like it may be the 24 car, I do believe, that may have started that, Paul, and I believe it may have been all by his lonesome, at least to start. Let's bring up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay.
This is a cool paint scheme right here. Being a Jeff Gordon fan myself, it's a little bit of a mashup of a couple of paint schemes, and there you see it, all by himself, loses the back end of the race car, and gets a little shot ski there from the 6 and the 15 driving on by, but he is able to grab a gear. He's going to spin that thing, pointing in the right direction, and it appears he's going to stay on the lead lap, but currently scored 23rd, the last car on the lead lap. Now, this is going to give these drivers an opportunity to possibly come down pit road. It is a very long race here, 190 laps on the board. So do you waste tires this early? Do you come down, try and hold on to some track position, or do you try and throw in the strategy game, fuel strategy this early on in the race? Lots of different ideas going through these drivers' minds, and going to be coming up on pit road. It looks like we don't have too many takers, at least up front.
You know what? Looking at the tire strategy, I believe we have one car there, about maybe the 14 of Brad Delph coming onto pit road. Stephen Leffler coming down into pit road as well. Looking at some of these tire strategies we might see tonight, Paul, they got 4 sets of tires. 1 on the car, 3 in the pits. If you were to break it up into like 40 lap runs, that's, I would say, when you use your tires, you can probably go longer on fuel, obviously being a shorter racetrack. I can't see you using the tires now, especially this early in the race. And for the most part, we see those drivers staying out in the racetrack, and I think that's going to be the status quo for at least this point of the run. They got a good enough sample size, though, Paul, to try to figure out what their car has for a 15-lap run, and we'll see what they have when we get going. That was a small little innocent spin, and I'm sure these drivers, at least the back of the field, that might not have had the handle on their race car or on their setup, kind of know what it's got to do now and know what they can do on this run, especially knowing that they've got a heat cycle already in these tires.
These drivers itching to get back to it, already lined up. Kind of staggered 2 by 2 there, and the iRacing Mustang is going to leave the lights on for at least one more lap here as we give these drivers the opportunity to pretty much cool their heads and make sure they hold on to the steering wheel and have a firm grip on it. So they're going to give us another, hopefully, green flag run here. It's good to see these guys running just like they did in practice. Great practice session here right before the race, before we came on air. It was great to see these guys get together and essentially have almost like a mock race throughout the practice session. Just really gives everybody the opportunity to kind of feel everybody else out, feel out the racing groove, feel out how the different driving styles are going to act, especially with being an off week last week here for the Easter holiday back on April 4th. And back at it again here tonight. Probably at a lap and a half, going to be going green on lap number 21. Still a long way to go. Mark Whitley out front. There you can see McWhorter right there in second, and Hunter Hayward in that 3rd position. We got quite a battle in the top 3 to 5 cars here.
Yeah, Michael Yarrow and Braden Caress, your top 5. Stephen Stempnian falls back to 6. Lane Doyle, Cedric Hunter, Brandon Hartwell, and Todd Neese. And Hunter and Hartwell have made their way up a couple of spots, 5 spots in the interim for Cedric Hunter, 5 the same for Brandon Hartwell. So 8th and 9th place, moving up 5 spots already in the lineup. David Neese has moved up 6 spots from 18th up to position number 12. And behind him, Clifton Ashley has moved up 6 spots. So there are some drivers that have moved already throughout this one. The biggest loser in this race, not to be negative early, but Brad Delp obviously just came down pit road, Paul. He's lost 10 positions back to 18th, so we'll see where he can go on this run. 23 drivers started this race. Every one of them are on the lead lap except for Art Milne. He has scored as 1 lap down. He may have taken his quick repair after that first little incident, but we're re-racked, restacked, and we're getting ready to come back to green. 20 laps will be completed this time by pace car. Pulls off into the infield. McWhorter will not have a shot at Mark Whitley. Green flag flies as the field rushes down the front straightaway, and they'll get ready to enter corner number 1 here at the Magic Pond.
2 by 2 all the way through on the restart. There you can see Whitley has about a car length over the number 32, but the 32 has the preferred line. He seems to squeeze himself into that second position, so single file for the top 3, and it's 2 wide behind them. And that 23 car, or check out the 91 car, Braden Caress making a great move, getting himself into that 5th position down on the bottom side. There you can see getting ready to kind of slide right up in front of the number 95 of Mike Yarrow. There he does, and completes that pass. So the 91 machine dashing his way up towards the front.
And in behind them, they are starting to get racy as well. Doyle to the inside of Stepney in the 81. Behind them, Hunter has, I believe that might be Todd Neese or Brandon Hartwell. Check that to the inside. Hartwell will let the number 11 car go, and what was a side-by-side battle stacked 2 deep is now single file tucked up tight together. So they get back to racing. The leaders come across the line, and they will complete lap number 22.
Little side-by-side battle there between Lane and Cedric, but they think better of it. Tuck in line, a single file, and you can pretty much look all the way out throughout the field here. Here's the 27 car, kind of right in front of another side-by-side battle between Mark Kostyk and Clifton Ashley there, the 33 and the 4 car side-by-side, with 72 of Stephen Leffler holding on, trying to get up as quickly as he can. There's the 14 car, Brad Delf, he's made mention, came down, got himself a quick repair from an earlier wreck, and still trying to work his way up towards the front. A couple of positions up since the restart, now running in the 15th position. And a rookie, James Byron, a couple of rookies, actually a gaggle of them back in here. Brian Bartlett, and Dakota Bryan kind of running in the 15th through 16th, 17th spots. And everybody just a lot of give and take. Very impressed with these drivers. They're giving everybody room for right now. There you see Jason Adams running that 24 car. A little bit of damage all the way around, but still trying to hold tough. The Busch car, Ethan Makwa, another rookie here in the 16. He's going to try and get the 24. He's going to wave bomb down there in turn number 1. He seems to be a little bit faster, but everybody doing a lot of give and takes here early, Tim. Working lap number 25. Long way to go, though.
Mentioned off the top of this run that they had a little bit of a sample size as to what they can do on a green flag run of about 15 laps and change. And, you know, they know what they can do with the tires with 1 heat cycle. They know what they can and can't do. They know their limits of where they can enter the corner, maybe where they can't. So now it's a matter of trying to apply that knowledge, and we're going to complete 26 laps this next time by. Some of that knowledge applied better than others. We've got a battle on your screen right here as Braden Caress tries to move up 1 more to the outside of Hunter Hayward. Hayward is one of those drivers that he knows that he can't win this race on lap number 1, or in this case, lap number 26. Caress trying to get that spot. Little sideways at a corner number 4. Hayward continues to hold on to the inside. He'll lose that spot, and here comes the 95 of Yarrow trying to pick up 1 more. Great little battle here.
We made mention that Hayward won the last 3 races, but still not leading the points. Mark Whitley, the current race leader, is won 4 times compared to Hunter Hayward's 3rd place, or 3 wins here. So he's running 2nd in the points behind Mark Whitley. And there you can see Mark Whitley out front doing everything he needs to do for maximum points here tonight. And Hunter Hayward trying to close in on the back bumper there, maybe get up into that 2nd spot and see what he has there. But before he can get to 2nd, he's got to get around 3rd, and right now he's got a mirror full of that 95 car coming up through him. Michael Yarrow working the bottom, trying to get around him.
It looked like when he was battling with Braden Caress, he was able to get the drive off the corner, at least when he was battling on that inside line, but finally had to let that pass go to the number 91, and now he's kind of fighting the same thing here, Paul. The 95 gets to the inside, is able to drive off the corner a little bit better, and right behind Stepnian is going to come to the inside. The 21 goes a little bit wide, allows the 95 to go, and now sees that 81 kind of chomping at the bit on the inside. The 95 did not get off that corner at all. Going to allow Hayward to take that spot, but the 95 just kind of stepped on it a little bit too quick coming out of the corner, and he's going to pay for it. He's going to lose one, and he might lose one more here.
Yeah, we saw that a few weeks back here at Martinsville Speedway. A lot of drivers were coming off of turn 4 and really trying to mash back on that gas pedal and getting all the power down to the rear wheels to see just how good of a jump they could get. And unfortunately with these Cup cars, all the power, the horsepower that they put down to the rear tires, you really have to ease into it as you come off the corners, as you can see these drivers doing here. But a lot of times when you're down on the inside like that, inside 2-wide battles and even 3-wide here in New Hampshire, it's really tough to try and focus on that. You're trying to get position, you're trying to hold position, and it's really difficult to try and hold on to that, especially when all you want to do is hammer down and get around the car in front of you. A lot of finesse has to go into that throttle pedal.
Heavy race car, a lot of horsepower. When you look at a racetrack like a Charlotte or an Atlanta or one of those racetracks where you have a little bit of banking to save you off the corner, it kind of doesn't look as innocent as what we saw there with the 95 car and a couple of those cars that are battling tight for position. You can kind of cover your mistake, Paul, if that makes any sense, as the 95 going to look one more time at the 21 up here for position number 4. But he gets down to the inside here. There's not a whole lot of banking to save him if the car gets away from him just a little bit. The 21 on the outside is able to kind of make that arc, get that run, and get what you can, at least, the momentum off the corner. We're used to seeing it at the high bank racetracks, higher banks to the outside. You get that momentum off the corner if you can keep that spot. We got a spin ahead of them, and that is the 32 of McWhorter. Caution flag will fly.
McWhorter warning up in the top 3 all evening long, and there you can see stuck on the outside as drivers coming on through the racing groove, lets everybody go by, grabs a gear, gets it straightened out, but gives us an opportunity here to pull up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay, and be sure to go check out those Kong Beer Bongs as they are a partner here with Vidane TV, and it's you'd be the life of the party. Pretty cool little party favor. Allows you to drink a lot of beer very quickly, and obviously here at Vidane TV we always want to remind you to drink responsibly, but at least have a little fun when you're doing it too. A little portable koozie beer bong thing, and if you go to kong.twodrunk.net, that is our purchasing link, and that will allow you to show your support for Vidane TV and also get one of those cool Kong beer bongs. And here's the replay right now. There you can see the 32 of McWhorter. Just the 91 comes in really, really hot. It doesn't appear that there was any contact. It looks like as the 91 kind of came in, took the air off the back of the 32 car, no contact all the way around. McWhorter did a really good job not backing that car into the fence, and there you can see, let everybody get by, so he didn't get run over by any of the or any of the cars coming up to the wreck. So good news there, good heads up driving by the 32. It appears he is going to get through down pit lane without losing a lap. So at least there's a little bit of a silver lining for the 32.
You know, looking at that replay, Paul, I took a look from the blimp. There might not have been any on-screen contact, but I think there was enough prediction code there that the sim thought that they were going to make contact. And honestly, if the 91 continued to track the way he was going through that corner, I believe the sim is right. There definitely would have been contact there if that would have continued throughout the corner. Crest threw it in there, regardless whether there was that on-screen contact or not. Crest threw it in there, and really, he had control of it around the corner, but he didn't have his line to the inside. It's a tough call. It's good, hard racing at the end of the day, but we're also on lap number 35 of a 190-lap race. The good news is, for McWhorter, is that there is a quick repair on it. He's able to come down pit road, get that car repaired, and back out onto the racetrack. But I think might have saw a little bit of aggression earlier from McWhorter as well. So I don't know if it's just the product of this racetrack, track position, whatever the case may be. But there's still plenty of laps for Joseph McWhorter to get back to the front of the field. And I would believe that if I'm McWhorter, I might have put in the back of my mind that the 91, I don't know, I don't want to say It's a short track. It might be tempers Paul. I don't know if he necessarily owes the 91 one, but I'm sure it's probably in the back of the mind that it might race him a little bit different when he gets up here.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a long race here too. 190 laps on the docket, 35 complete under our second caution of the evening, and it's one of those things. It's going to be in the back of the driver's mind there in the 91. Brandon Caress is going to be thinking, when is that receipt going to come? Is that receipt going to come? Is it going to be earlier on here, or is it going to be later on in the race when you really want to lead that final lap? So it's going to be interesting. We'll have to follow that along, and it's one of those really cool things that iRacing's done over the past couple of years with that prediction code. And not everybody's internet connection is perfect, and all of these drivers that you're seeing here on screen are running the iRacing simulation, and everybody runs different internet connections, different computers, different specs, all that good stuff. So with iRacing putting the prediction code in there, kind of figuring out where the wrecks are potentially going to be is definitely something to behold. So if you wanted to get on the action, iRacing.com, they've always got some pretty hot deals for new subscribers, and well, heck, tell them Vidane TV sent you. Maybe they'll throw us a little bit of a bone.
The field is getting ready to come back to the green flag. 36 laps will be completed when we come back across the stripe. Mark Whitley now leads Braden Caress, Mike Yarrow, Hunter Hayward, Stephen Stempney, and Cedric Hunter, Brandon Hartwell, Todd Neese, Brad Delph, and Clifton Ashley up 9 positions to 10th. Green flag flies. We are back underway, and we'll see what kind of run we get here. It's been about 10 to 15 laps or so on these runs, Paul. It's all been behind Mark Whitley, and Whitley once again gets a great jump.
Huge lead over the DoorDash 91, and there you can see Hunter Hayward still holding on to that third position. They get single file for the top 3. Still 2 by 2 pretty much throughout the field here for at least a couple of laps off of the restart, and you can see just Whitley doing a great job, kind of almost coming in a little bit lower now in his corner entry, drifting up just a little bit. And you got to figure here at the flat racetrack in New Hampshire, definitely going to be some tire wear playing in effect with these drivers coming up, working lap number 38.
And now we'll see that battle, I think, rage again on our screen between the 21 of Hayward and Michael Yarrow in the 95. And we saw the 91 able to get away from this battle, but Michael Yarrow has been contingent on getting that inside line to work, has been challenging that number 21 to get to the inside, but hasn't been able to really make the move stick. Almost had it at once, and then Hayward was able to get back by, but it's like they have a magnet with each other. They can't seem to stay off each other, and then I don't know where did Cedric Hunter come from? He's up here in the top 5.
Hello Kitty making into the top 5 there. A little bit of a sketchy situation back mid-pack here, running for the 14th position. The 9 of Byron Bartlett got real loose running in this middle of 3 wide, but some heads-up driving by these Sim Racing Unleashed drivers. Lots of practice laps go in each and every week with these guys, and you can really tell they don't overreact when somebody in front of or around them kind of gets a little bit loose or a little bit tight. Doing a great job kind of holding on to the race cars, making sure that they're going to finish the race. Because you can't win the race on lap 1, you can't win the race on lap 40, but in order to win the race, you got to finish. So these guys doing a really good job, and lots of good racing all the way throughout the track. Just kind of taking a peek here. There's the number 6 car of Robert Chiswick. He's holding on to the 20th position right now. He's got kind of a gaggle in front of him, a little bit of a hornet's nest. So might just be kind of biding his time, seeing if any of these guys are going to make a mistake.
And looking at this field, been watching this battle up here between Hayward and what is now Cedric Hunter and the 95 car of Yarrow, but in behind them, you can kind of see that 32 starting to creep into the picture. He's passing Stempney and to the inside. McWhorter is coming, and if he has a receipt to pay back, Paul, to the number 91, it may come sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite know how DoorDash does their receipts, if they do them digitally or print them, but they might have one coming from this McWhorter machine. Getting around Hunter Hayward with ease. That's that's a tall order to do. Definitely has fresh tires, but that 32 car coming in a hurry. Came down pit road about 8, maybe 9 laps ago under the last caution. Everybody else still on the original tires. Caution flag comes out on the speedway once again, and we can't take a peek and find out why.
Yeah, we'll see what brought out the most recent caution, the third caution of the afternoon here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And we got one on pit road. That's Brandon Hartwell. He was running up in the top 10, Paul. I'm not sure what happened, but that might be the reason for our yellow.
Yeah, taking a peek now at the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. Definitely the 25 car, Brandon Hartwell. And you can see running 2x2 there with the 81 car, kind of gets around in 4th position, focusing in on that 25 car. And then he kind of pulls off down low here, running 3 wide, but backs way off the throttle. And you can see it almost looks like he was trying to come down pit road. But there you can see he gets a little bit squirrely, and he ends up pulling into the grass, parking, and then calling for a tow. So not entirely sure what's going on with the 25 car, but he is going to be sitting on pit road here for at least a couple of laps.
Yeah, it's weird the caution flag would come out for that, though, because he was so far off the racetrack. But yellow flag does fly. Pace car comes back out, and we will sit under the yellow flag one more time. So tough break for Mr. Hartwell, but that's the way some of these breaks go here.
Yeah, and just taking a look at pit road right now, you can see the first and second starters. It's going to be the Hunter Hayward machine and Mark Whitley both down and away for tires. The 81 down there as well, the 4 car. Probably a handful. Good, I'd say maybe half, 3/4 of the field coming down for pit stops for service on their race cars. And we can see the top 3 have not pitted yet. There you can see him, Brandon Caress there in the 91. Michael Yarrow in the 95. He moves up to the 2nd position. Cedric Hunter, he's moved up to the 3rd in the Hello Kitty number 11 car, having a great run. The 32, McWhorter, he's right there. He's going to be moving himself into the 4th position. Steven Stepien in 5th. Brad Delph, Dakota Bryan, Stephen Leffler, James Bryan, and Lane running in the top 10. So a little bit of a mix-up here with some of the pit stops, but a lot of familiar names up here in the top 10 here, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is about the time. We're on lap 45, and you talked about tire strategy a little bit earlier. If you have 3 sets of tires sitting in the pits, you come at 40-ish, you come at 80-ish, and 120, 130, stretch it a little bit further. You can make it on 3 sets. This might be a little bit short compared to if you want to break it up into 4 separate runs, Paul, but with the way McWhorter came through the field, sitting right now in position number 4, you'd have to think that might be on Mark Whitley's mind. A lot of these drivers either have teammates or spotters or extra crew members in the race that are watching. So I'm sure that was relayed to the leader that 32 was cutting through the field like a hot knife through butter. And that might have forced the hand a little bit, albeit McWhorter didn't want to make that early pit stop and make that quick repair because of what we saw a little bit earlier on. But it's a strategy that's kind of forced the hand, I think, of the leader a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen this type of tire strategy kind of play out before here on Verdane TV in recent weeks. A lot of the short tracks that we've run here with all the different cars, the super late models, the cup cars, and everything in between here. It's one of those things, we're going to have a couple of drivers that are going to maybe take tires early on to get the track position under the green flag, but I think we're going to see a lot of guys save a set of those tires for later on in the race. Maybe a caution comes out, say with 10 to 15 laps to go. You give up the track position, you come down, you get 4 fresh Mr. Feelgoods, put them on the bottom of that race car, and like you said, with the 32 car there of McWhorter, he's cut his way through the field up into the top 5 relatively quickly with some of these guys on old tires. So we'll see what he can do now. He's going to restart in the 4th position. The lights are off the iRacing Mustang pace car. Going to dip down on the pit road, and we're going to get a green flag, a restart once again. Making him wait for it is Caress in the 91. Hammer down, green flag is out, and he's getting a big push from that Hello Kitty number 11 car. Cedric Hunter trying to push the 91 car to the lead.
Watch that outside line and see if those two on the outside, Yarrow and the 32 McWhorter, can kind of roll the top here. Great run for Yarrow at a corner number 2, and he will vault to the lead. He was battling a little bit earlier with Hayward, and he's able to take a huge advantage. And the battle that was for position number 2 is a battle no more. McWhorter makes it look easy, and I think Joseph's going to have an opportunity here to take away the lead on Yarrow as they run down the front straightaway. 47 laps completed.
McWhorter, the only driver in the top 6 to have fresher tires, came down about 15 laps ago. Everybody else running the original tires they started the race on, and you can see really accordioning the field up just a bit, but everybody's still relatively single file there in the top 10 to 15 cars. And what McWhorter rather is really checked out. There's about a 10 car length lead over the 95, and I think a lot of that has to do with that Hello Kitty number 11 car. Cedric Hunter really putting the hammer down, trying to move up into that second position, doing it the hard way, going on the outside.
And is able to make it work and able to make it stick, get that run off the corner here, and Yarrow gets a little bit sideways, which is going to help the effort for Cedric Hunter, and Hunter going to pick up position number 2, and now Yarrow has to try to battle with Braden Caress. Caress was up in front on this restart and now has fallen back, and oh, by the way, here comes Whitley, here comes Hayward, and here comes a couple of others with fresh tires cutting through the field. Whitley has already made it back up here into the top 5, and it's not going to be long before I think he's in second place.
These drivers doing a really good job with tire management, showing that you can take old tires and make it work. You can still have a very racy race car, but it's also showing some of these drivers with the fresher tires, it's really going to make that car feel good. It's going to make you feel like Superman for at least 10 to 15 laps until they kind of even out here. And we can see Mark Whitley in the second position now, came down pit road 7 laps ago. Hunter Hayward doing the exact same thing. He's going to move into the third position, and he's got his sights set on that leader who's got about a second and a half lead.
And there's not a whole lot of difference on the tires in between the two. Yes, there obviously Whitley and Hayward have newer tires than McWhorter, but McWhorter was running up front with these boys before that little set 2 with Caress. So I think Whitley is going to make that gap a little bit smaller. Is he going to be able to get there and make that pass with ease like he was to all the cars behind him? I don't think so, but it's going to see how these tires kind of stack up in between the top 3. The top 3, top 4-ish kind of have some racing room in between them, but there's some other cars middle of this pack, Paul, that are far from done battling, and most of them are single file right now, but guys like Todd Neese going side by side with Lane Doyle, the 26 and the 5, going at it for a spot in the middle of the pack. And I think these drivers, for the most part, and I don't want to jinx it, oh, there goes the 5 up the hill, kind of a little bit of a hip check from the 26. They kind of found their place to race right now and kind of know what their car is going to do. 50 laps in, and Lane Doyle has his hands completely full in the 5.
So showing that 53-lap tires really, he's actually got fresher tires. According to timing, scoring came down about 20 laps ago, so might have just lost focus there, lost the back end of the race car, almost came around, but was able to back up off the throttle, get it straightened out, and he's going to hold on to the 14th position for now, because here comes the 14. Brad Delph doing a good job getting right up to the back bumper. He's got about 20 laps on his tires, according to timing and scoring. He's going to take a look on that low side, and that low side's really hard to make stick unless you've got fresher tires on the race car. But 14 is going to try and get the hard way around. It's really hard to get down to that yellow line, and you can see these drivers kind of running that second and third groove up in between those dotted lines, kind of like lines on the highway or on the interstates as you were driving. And you can see the 14's going to cross the stripe and cross in front of the number 5, so they give that 15th position to Lane as Brad moves himself up into the 14th.
And they continue to battle throughout this field and trying to pick up a couple of positions here and there. There's another great battle on your screen. That is Todd Neese in the 26. Round position number 12, just outside the top 10, and up the hill that he goes, almost into Stephen Leffler, as they battle side by side down the front straightaway. And they also have Clifton Ashley along with them, was up in the top 10 a little bit earlier, has fallen back to position number 13. And Todd Neese, Stephen Leffler's giving him a whole lot of room back here, Paul, to make it work. And he's trying to turn the 18-wheeler around in a 100-acre field, and he almost bought the farm on the number 72. But they continue to race. There's a lot of respect between these two here.
Yeah, there you can see the side-by-side battle in front of the 4. He's got the best seat in the house for that battle. They straighten it out this time. Going to kind of go back to school here, do a little bit of homework, find out what the driver in front of him there is going to do next. We'll see where he's good, where he's bad, and potentially find somewhere to try and get around. You can see the 72 kind of creeps up a little bit on the high side. That opens the door for the number 4 car. He's going to slip on in through there and slide himself right in front of the number 72. Hold on to that position. It's going to move Clifton Ashley into position at number 12.
I'm surprised what I'm seeing with race pace up in front. I'm surprised that I'm not. Mark Whitley is now your leader. He's pulled away from Joseph McWhorter by a second. Hayward has caught McWhorter, but hasn't been able to do anything with him, as Terry Duguay goes one lap down. First time that Terry Dugay's done a lap down tonight, so he's done a great job. He's still learning the Cup car, but falls a lap down and behind the leader. But I'm kind of impressed as we have a battle for position number 2 between Hayward and McWhorter going at it at a corner number 4. But between those two cars that are up there battling for that second place spot, I figured McWhorter would be quick. I figured he might be a little bit quicker with what he has on the tires, but Whitley has put up a blistering pace ever since he made his move for that lead position.
About 1.3 seconds, the gap from Whitley back to McWhorter. And there you can see McWhorter getting a mirror full of Hunter Hayward. Hunter in the second position in points. He's the inaugural Sim Racing Unleashed champion back 7 seasons ago. And these guys work in season 8, which is pretty cool. Very cool to see these sim racing leagues have multiple seasons like this and multiple different series. You can actually check out all the different info that they've got, schedules, cars, rosters, all that good stuff over at SimRacingUnleashed.com. They keep up with all the drivers and all the racing action as well, and they've got everything linked up to their Facebook and their social media outlets as well. So very, very well put together league, very well put together group of drivers here, and some great clean racing, working lap number 60 on the board, 190 on the docket, and approaching that 190 mark a little bit quicker than I expected here tonight. Great racing so far, and really shows that these drivers put on a lot of practice time. A lot of laps were made this week and possibly last week too, with the off week for the Easter holiday, and even made mention a couple of times before the show here, before qualifying. These drivers had their last happy hour session and really got everybody out on track, put everybody in the same group to get used to driving styles that they may or may not have been kind of next to over the past 2 weeks being an off week. But I think Hunter Hayward's got his work cut out for him if he's going to try and make it 4 in a row. He's working that second position right now, still trying to get past McWhorter, not quite able to get around him, so he's going to tuck back in to his tire tracks, and he's going to take another shot at him here in turns 3 and 4. But I think he may have enough car to possibly catch Whitley if he can get up in the clean grass, or the clean air rather, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get around him. That 77 car, very, very strong on the 1 mile.
He's got to worry about the 32 first. He's got him cleared, I think, right here. It's just a matter of McWhorter can get there. And there's the other issue that the 21 is fighting, and that's the 32 having some what we call warp issues. There's some connection issues with the 32 car. His quality isn't the best, and there he goes again. If you're the 21 car, if you're Hunter Hayward, you don't know where that race car is, because the server is not picking up all the packets necessarily and picking up all the info that it needs, and it's not, the car isn't there all the time. So it's really difficult to race with somebody like that. Paul, you and I have both been in that situation where if you're going into a corner and that guy in front of you is in and out and kind of not there, it kind of makes it difficult to pick your pass and pick your move, because if he appears right back on top of you, both of your cars are wrecked, both of your nights are done, and it brings out a caution flag. So right now that battle for second is done. Hayward has moved to second. You're seeing Cedric Hunter on your screen, and there's McWhorter, and we got one. Is that the 95 at Yarrow that might have had a moment?
Looked like he kissed the wall just a little bit, but it didn't slow him down too much. You could see some damage kind of all the way around. Nothing crazy, a little bit of sheet metal damage around the 95. We're seeing it on the 11 car there as well, Cedric Hunter with some damaged quarter panels, but again, nothing too crazy. Looks like we got a car off track. I believe that's going to be the number 4 car of that's going to be Clifton Ashley. Caution flag going to come out here. It doesn't look like he hit anything, but gives us an opportunity once again to pull up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay, and we'll give it to you live. We'll show you what happened.
And Paul will take a look at it, and I think this was another one of the incidents where the car just may have got away from him.
Yeah, and that's what it's looking like here, too. We're going to focus in on that number 4, Jimmy John's ride, and you can see as they come out of the corner, he came down pit road about 22 laps ago for the last pit stop, and came out of turn number 2 and just lost the back end of the race car. It's really tough to kind of on these flat racetracks, as you come out of the corners, you really want to mash that gas, but sometimes you really have to feather it depending on how the car is set up and how the tires are wearing. So very, very, very easy for these drivers to kind of lose the back end and spin. But the good news is the floor car, Clifton Ashley, didn't hit anything, didn't hit any walls or anything like that, or any of the other competitors. So some good news there. Just going to give us a few laps to kind of think about what we did here. As we see if anybody else is going to come down pit road. Looks like pit road's a rather busy place.
Yeah, indeed it is. And this is kind of an interesting strategy call here, Paul. Most of the field is coming down. Mark Whitley stays out on the racetrack, as does Hayward, as does Brian Neese, Todd Neese, and a handful of guys near the back of the field. But Whitley and Hayward are the only two that stayed out. And when they were coming to pit road, those two kind of had the fake. They kind of pulled back out into the racetrack when everybody else pulled down onto pit road. So don't want to say sitting duck. They've kind of laid in the bed that their strategy is when it comes to tire conservation. But it's interesting nonetheless. But if those cars stay out in behind them that did, they might have a couple of bumper cars to make this thing at least a little bit interesting for 5 to 10 laps.
Giving the drivers an opportunity to kind of flatten out the advantage. And you can see coming around again, nobody else coming down pit road. So according to timing and scoring, the top 9 drivers stayed out. Everybody pitted about 23 or so laps ago. Check that top 8 driver. That's going to be Whitley, Hayward, Bryan, Neese, Koscheck, Ashley, and Milne. Those are going to be the drivers that stayed out and elected to stay. They've got about, looks like 25 laps or so on the tires. James Bryan, a rookie there in 3rd place in the 04. He's got 34 laps since the last time he's come down pit road. But interesting strategy. It's going to be one of those deals where we're going to have some guys towards the back of the pack that are going to be much, much quicker on that fresh rubber. But we're also going to have some drivers up front that kind of know how the car feels on the older tires. And like you made mention, we're going to have some buffer cars in there. A lot of drivers in here that don't necessarily have a shot to win the race, but they're going to try and hold on to possibly a top 5 or a top 10 and see if they can really get a good points day out of it. It's going to be a tall order, as it were, to get around that 77 car. Mark Whitley really picking up the laps and putting them down.
It might be a little bit easier right now to get by the 77 with McWhorter scored in 9th. He's got some slower cars ahead of him. Then you get up to James Bryan, David Neese, Todd Neese. They haven't been, off the pace isn't the right word, but top 10-ish cars. Back after the top 10, then you get up to Whitley and Hayward, and I think they're smart enough to kind of realize the new tires that McWhorter is on. But I think right now, if McWhorter took tires, when we assume that he did on that first quick repair, he takes tires now, we're not to halfway, Paul. And he's only got one set of tires sitting down there in the pits. So I don't know. I almost want to think that Joseph McWhorter, we're up here for a reason. We're not on the pit boxes. We're not on the racetrack. But I think McWhorter's kind of shorted himself some tires here if this thing plays out the way it is to the end, especially if we get a long green flag run.
And that's another one of the features you can do here with the iRacing simulation. You can basically have the league officials pick how many sets of tires you're going to start the race with and well, essentially how many you're going to finish the race with. Pace car is going to dip down, green flag in the air once again, and another fantastic restart for the 77. Mark Whitley still side by side. Looks like he's going to have the position and slide up in front of Hayward and really hold on to that lead once again. But Hayward up at the 2nd spot. James Bryan still in 3rd, and both of the Neese drivers, Todd and David, running 4th and 5th.
Yeah, Todd and David have had a pretty good run. Todd's been fighting around the top 10 for most of this race, but keep an eye on Stempnian and keep an eye on the 32 of McWhorter. When McWhorter is on the racetrack, that connection issue is getting a little bit worse. The race officials might want to take a look at that. Kind of hard to race with somebody like that when you're on the racetrack, but looking at the 32 and the 81 back there, trying to cut their way through this field, and there goes the 4 to the inside. I kind of figured, Paul, they'd have a little bit of an easier job on the new tires, but these guys are not making it easy on those guys who just been in. We got one around near the back, and that will draw the caution.
Yeah, we saw the 4 car almost get into trouble coming off of turn 2 once again. Seems to be kind of calamity corner, if you will, but a couple of drivers in the back, towards the back here. We can pull up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay and find out just why that yellow rag is out once again. It looks like it may be definitely involving the 91 and the 11, and it looks like a couple of other cars involved as well here. And we're actually going to take a peek at this one from the blimp view. A little bit hard to see the numbers from way up here, but at least we can catch all of the action as it happened on the track. Now focus on that black car, or the red car rather, with the black numbers on top. That's going to be the 91 of Braden Caress. Ran up front, and you can see just kind of gets into the back bumper there of that brown and black car, and you can see Center Hunter trying to go high, trying to get around the wreck, but doesn't quite have enough to get through. Not enough room to get through. Gets kind of pancaked between the wall and the Caress machine of the 91, and there you see the 25 doing a good job. Brandon Hartwell currently 3 laps down, but he was able to get up on the binders and didn't cause any additional damage for some of these drivers. So good news is it's not a huge hit. A couple of little bumps and bruises, but going to end up having to restart towards the back of the pack after this particular incident.
And just drivers trying to I don't want to say stay off each other. That's not the right terminology, but trying to get around each other and trying to race each other. We've seen the 91 of Caress strong here tonight, as looks like the Hartwell machine going to get one of his 3 laps back to be 2 laps down. He's the only driver that is laps down on the racetrack, but I don't really know on lap number 73 fighting for the mid to the back of the pack, Paul, what the sense of urgency is at this point. I understand that some of those cars back there are a little bit quicker than the others, but try to pick your battles and pick your spots. For guys like the 04 O'Brien, Todd Neese, David Neese, Clifton Ashley, Brad Delph, some of those drivers that stayed out on the racetrack, it's great for them because they get a little more track position. For Joseph McWhorter, it's great. He's going to restart in 6th. Stephen Stepney is going to restart in 8th. They're going to be a little bit closer to Whitley and Hayward. But middle to the back of the pack, not sure what the sense of urgency is, at least at this point, because we have yet to hit halfway.
Slowly approaching that halfway mark. Long race we've alluded to a couple of times here tonight. Just about half the distance. The NASCAR Cup Series runs and their official races here on Sundays as well. So really a battle of attrition for a lot of these guys. This 1 mile flat racetrack is definitely not easy to drive, as you got to kind of figure out what the car's going to do and what everybody else is going to do. And you can see Hunter Hayward having a little bit of fun going down the I guess that's part of the road course down there. Just making sure everybody's paying attention. But speaking of paying attention, I want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight on the YouTube and the Facebook pages. If you want to give us a like, a share, a subscribe, all that good stuff. And let your friends know you're watching some iRacing action here on Vidane TV. Just kind of checking in. Jeff Hayward rooting on Hunter Hayward. And we've got Steven Stepien in here as well, rooting on that Budweiser 81. Loving that paint scheme. Definitely does all of his paint schemes himself, confirming that here for us. And Jeff Hayward also tuning in on the Facebook page as well. So pretty cool to have the family, friends aspect of the drivers here on Vidane TV, kind of checking in and watching all the different drivers. But if they're out there watching, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know who you're rooting for and who you think is going to win this race. Lining them up 2 by 2. Lights are off on the iRacing Mustang pace car. Getting ready to go green flag racing once again here, Tim.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get some green flag laps in here. The 23 drivers that we started with tonight still all on the racetrack. We mentioned Hartwell is 2 laps down. Everybody else is currently on the lead lap. So that might play a little bit of attrition-wise. I think the leaders maybe, Paul, have been in lap traffic maybe once or twice. So we'll see if these drivers can settle in a little bit, get into a groove, and get some green flag racing in. Whitley and Hayward, familiar names near the front of the field in this Sim Racing Unleashed League. And they'll be at it again. Green flag flies. We're back underway.
Had a couple of instances along longer green flag runs, 20 to 30, sometimes even 40 laps here, and we were able to kind of see what these drivers had. And you can see Whitley with another great restart. Hunter Hayward still right on the outside of him, and still side by side for 3rd place as well. But really shows what these guys have. But we haven't had a long green flag run where we've had really anybody kind of run away with the pack and not really having to deal with too much lap traffic just yet. Still, like you said, Tim, not quite halfway yet. Still plenty of racing to have happen and plenty of time to try and get one of those long green flag runs in. But everybody doing a great job so far. Lots of give and take happening here in the first half of the race. You can see a little bit of a gaggle here for 6th on back to about 10th or 11th. And there's that Budweiser 81 trying to get a little bit more TV time. Going to shoot all the way down. Oh, we got to spin down in the back of the pack there. Going to bring out the caution once again. I believe it's Dakota Ryan pointed towards the infield there, number 56 car, so that's a tough break.
Yeah, 56 pointed in the wrong direction. We'll bring up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay one more time and see what happened there. And theme of the night, Paul, all by himself.
Yeah, coming off of turn 2 once again, and there you can see tries to get the hammer all the way down and tried to give her all. He really should have just slightly given her. Just gets the car right on around, and tough break for the 56 because that's going to put him towards the back of the pack. Going to be the last car on the lead lap there, scored in the 22nd position. Tough spot to restart from, rather. But that's, you said it, theme of the night. Turn 2, a lot of self-spins. Seems like some of these drivers are kind of relying on the tires to potentially be there. But with the tire wear here going on, that possibly could be causing some issues. But there you can see the top 2 drivers kind of faking everybody out, pretending to come down pit road and then jumping right back out onto the track. So I don't believe we have any takers on pit road this time by.
Now, the good news is, you mentioned earlier about the road course, and I don't know if you've driven, the great thing about iRacing, and this is one of the earlier racetracks that iRacing scanned, there are plenty of configurations of the road course. If Dakota was slowing down to go outside the racetrack on the outfield road course, that would be about where you brake to turn kind of into the infield and then kind of out towards the outer portion of this racetrack. We did a special event there before. Hunter Hayward's going to do it right here. This is where you would go and you kind of crank it right and up the hill and then out of the racetrack, per se, up the hill. And I'm not a road course guy. I've done a little bit of road course racing on iRacing. The New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course is probably one of the most enjoyable road courses because it's flowing. There's a couple of technical portions, especially on the outside of this racetrack. If you're on iRacing and you're looking for something different, that's probably the best thing to do. But unfortunately for Mr. Bryan, we are not running the road course tonight, and that is not the greatest place to spin, and that will ultimately bring a yellow flag out. But you mentioned road course earlier. This is a great little place, probably one of the most underrated road courses when it comes to the iRacing service.
Yeah, I wish I could say that I was good at road course racing. I'm not even really good at the circle track racing, so that's why we do the production deal here in the Verdane TV production truck, and maybe one day we'll get out there and run some super speedway races, as it were, back in the old days of Verdane racing when we ran the super speedway league. And speaking of which, we finally mailed out Richard Beasley's championship belt here this past week. It was expected to be delivered yesterday, so I actually have to touch base with Mr. Beasley so we can see that belt get unboxed live on his Twitch channel, and that's going to be exciting. You'll be able to get all the links to that, as well as the announcement on the Verdane TV Facebook page. Winning the championship belt for the Verdane Racing Sim 500 Super Speedway Championship, and he's actually got the opportunity now to race at Stafford Motor Speedway in one of the Rent a Race cars, very possibly going to be in the 6 car that's going to be sponsored by Verdane TV there at Stafford Speedway. So that's coming up on June 11th. That's going to be a Friday night at the track there at Stafford Speedway. And if you come out, we'd love to have you party with us. Verdane TV going to be hanging out all weekend long, because the very next day, that's Saturday, June 12th, I got my tickets in the mail yesterday. Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham's SRX series going to be making their series debut at Stafford Speedway. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to that as kind of a promoter for here for Verdane TV and the Verdane Racing League, but really looking forward to it as a fan, Tim.
Yeah, it's going to be a great race, and if you can't see it, I believe CBS is going to have live coverage of it, but the best way to view it is at the racetrack, especially with your buddies at Verdane TV. Excited to see what Richard Beasley can do in one of those cars, because I heard if he gets scared and kind of gets cold feet, EJ O'Rourke would be there. But we'll see what happens. Right now, we're getting ready to go back to green here for the Sim Racing Unleashed gang at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, creeping up closer to the halfway point of this 181. Laps completed right here. Green flag back out. Great start for Mark Whitley, but hanging on the right rear quarter is the 21 of Hunter Hayward.
Long way to go, and we got all the time in the world here at Verdane TV. We're going to bring you to the end of this race and then some. I'm going to talk to the top 3 drivers once we get this race in the bag, but not quite halfway here. Still working at lap number 82 of 190 on the board, and a heck of a battle up front here. Whitley led just about all, if not all, the laps here so far, and you can see Hunter Hayward really trying to get around him. Between these top 2 drivers, you've got 7 wins 4 of them going to the 77, 3 of them going to the 21. Caution flag comes out on the speedway once again.
And I believe, oh look, theme of the night, all by himself, but a little bit of help this time for the 4 of Clifton Ashley. Started all by himself, but got by with a little help from his friends. Paul, cue it up.
Yeah, focus in on the 4 and the 27 here, the 4 car, Clifton Ashley, and I believe coming out of turn number 2 again. Well, nope, that was turn 4 there. Gets the back end loose just a little bit, gets a little bit of a shot in the pants, and gets spun around. You can see kind of aggressively gets that thing spun around, but pointed in the right direction nonetheless. He's still going to stay on the lead lap, but going to have to restart towards the back of the pack, and that's never fun on these short 1 mile racetracks.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's the second yellow on the 4 car tonight. Do they have a rule on yellows?
I don't believe they do, and I don't believe there's an incident cap either, so just going to be kind of a stern warning from the league officials, I'm sure, letting these drivers know that we got a little bit of broadcast to do. We got a show to put on, so we want to make sure that we keep the racing as clean as possible. But speaking as clean as possible, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, pay some of the bills here for Verdane TV. This stuff don't happen for free, so there you can see a little fake out again from Hunter Hayward. He stays out on track, though. But don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back here at Verdane TV. Back at it once again, and lights still on the pace car. Going to be at least one more lap to give these drivers some focus time and make sure they pull everything tight in the simulator, make sure the wheels on the desk nice and tight, and make sure everything is ready to rock and roll for another restart here. And you can see everybody just kind of snaking on through the backstretch. Didn't have any takers on pit road this time by, so we'll see just what the strategies are going to play out as. Kind of slowly creeping up almost there to the halfway point, about 10 laps or so. A long race here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, indeed it is. And we were kind of talking off air, Paul, that most of these leagues have a bad race or two throughout. And it could be one race or another. You have really good races where you string together some long green flag runs. And you have some nights like this where green flag racing's hard to find. I think the biggest green flag run that we had was the one to start off at about 15 laps or so. But you have nights like this. When it's a long race, 190 laps, long way at New Hampshire, it compounds the cautions and everything else. And hopefully in the second half of this race, these drivers can find some green flag racing. And for the most part, it has been single car incidents, except for the one with Mick Water and Caress. And Caress had his little set two down there with another race car. So, but for the most part, a lot of these cautions have been single car incidents. So hopefully they can kind of park that deal and get this thing green, because we both know they have it in them. It's just a matter of getting some green flag racing in. So we'll see what happens here with Mark Whitley and Hunter Hayward, two familiar names near the front of this field.
Yeah, status quo up front, and these drivers going to see about another restart. Taking a quick peek at the 04 car there. Running in the 6th position, James Bryan, one of the rookies in this class, best running rookie so far here this evening. Getting a shout out there from Jack Bryan over on the YouTube page there, watching along, tuning in, and seeing some racing here on Vidane TV. But there we go again, battle up front, side by side for the lead. Really holding on to it. Hunter Hayward trying to work around that 77 car on the high side, and everybody else pretty much 2x2, almost 2x3 throughout the rest of the pack.
Side by side up in front to 21. Oh, a little sideways, and the leaders are going to come together. Great save by Mark Whitley, and that's how you do it. The 21 of Hayward going to take the advantage, and man, what a save by those two up in front.
Championship caliber driving between those top two drivers. And going to move Hunter Hayward up towards the front. That's exactly where he wants to be. Wants to try and tie Mark Whitley for the number of wins this season at 4. 7 races between the two of them, the split. 3 races to Hunter Hayward. 77 of Mark Whitley has 4 wins so far, and they're about 23 points separated coming into tonight. So really tough, tight championship battle going in towards the back half, or the back part of the season here. 3 races to go after this, and Sim Racing Unleashed. So Hunter Hayward already has the championship. Mark Whitley trying to get his first championship, and man, these drivers really putting on a show here tonight, as they always do here on Sunday nights. Very cool to have the Sim Racing Unleashed guys with us here, and made mention, check out SimRacingUnleashed.com. You got all the drivers up there, you got all the past champions, the schedule, all the different series and leagues that they run in, all the practice sessions, and a couple of spots where you can get on there and possibly sign up and potentially race with these guys, potentially see your car and yourself here on Vidane TV. And great to have these guys here on Sunday nights. Caution comes out once more time.
One Mogan caution flag comes out just shy of the halfway point of this one, and we'll see what happened near the back of the field. Maybe the 25 car, and well, he had a little help. We'll go back and maybe take a look at it. The 25 was definitely not the reason for the caution, but he was swept up in somebody else's mess. Kong Beer Bong instant replay.
Yep, here we have it. We're going to give it to you live. Focus in on that 25 and focus in on the 15 as well. 15 high up on the high side, and there you can see kind of collecting each other there. And there's another car going through, getting a little bumper car action himself. A couple of small minor hits. You can definitely see the sheet metal caved in there on the 25. Looks like we're missing the nose there on Art Milne's car, the 15. A little bit of modified country action going on at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the 15 car, but under caution once again here working lap number 92. So close to that halfway marker.
Yeah, we'll surpass the halfway mark under this yellow flag, and up in front it looks like we may have had at least one taker onto pit road, and that is Hunter Hayward coming onto pit road. So your second place driver, or your leader, I guess, as they were battling hard for that lead, Hayward comes down. Whitley stays out on the racetrack. I don't mind this strategy from Hunter Hayward. I really don't mind it from Mark Whitley staying out, because we really didn't have a whole lot of a test on these tires. I think Whitley, Paul, still has 2 sets of tires sitting on pit road. Or he has one more set of tires compared to McWhorter and now Hayward, who have 1 set of tires left. So this strategy might not be too bad for Mark Whitley if he can hang on, but Stempnian on newer tires than Whitley is. So this is, even though we've had a ton of caution flag laps, this might be a nice little matchup up here to see who's got the better set.
Haven't really had an opportunity for a super long green flag run, and this is the kind of opportunity where it's you're almost gambling when you stay out on 50 lap tires. We have had a lot of short runs. Cautions breed cautions, unfortunately, in both the sim racing world and the real racing world, and no exceptions here tonight for Sim Racing Unleashed. Been some good green flag racing. Had a couple of caution laps kind of sprinkled in throughout, but all in all, some good racing. And it hasn't really given the drivers an opportunity to kind of level the tires out. We definitely have seen tire wear play into the factor of the handling of some of the race cars, especially coming off of turn number 2, where some guys are wanting to really mat the gas and unfortunately losing the back end of the race car, kind of doing the lazy self-spins there, as it were. But I think this is going to be a good opportunity to see what everybody's got. We've got some guys up front We've got Whitley out front. It's been about 50 laps since he came down pit road. Steven Stepien in the 81, and that Budweiser machine, he's running second. Todd Neese running third. Brad Delph fourth. Cedric Hunter, the Hello Kitty number 11 car, he's in the fifth position. Michael Yarrow in the 95, he's still up in the top 10 and sixth. Brand Caress working his way back up to the seventh position. Lane Boyle in the eighth. James Adams in ninth, and David Neese in the 27, rounding out the top 10. So some familiar names up towards the front of the pack. Lights are off in the iRacing Mustang pace car. Gonna line them up 2 by 2 and see what these guys can do.
We'll see if we can get some green flag racing in here. When we do cross this next lap, though, Paul, the good news is that we will be halfway home in this event. This race does have a time limit of 2 hours and 25 minutes. We are going to be at probably 1 hour and 7 minutes, so we are still shy of the time limit, which is a good thing. We'll get this race done, all 190 laps by the looks of it. Might take us a little time to get there, but for the most part, I think we're going to see some green flag racing. These drivers have that in them. The league officials have been on them on the race communication to try to get some green flag racing. A little bit of encouragement, and I think these drivers will be able to get it done. Pace car is in. Mark Whitley is in command of the field. Stepney into the outside. Green flag flies. We are halfway home here at Loudon.
Giving the driver something to think about. There you can see side by side, almost a little bit of contact between the 81 and the 77. 77 of Whitley going to get the advantage. Has about a car length, 2 car lengths, 3, 4 car length lead over the 81. A great exit out of turn number 2 there. And you can see we're almost 3 wide. We are 3 wide for about 5th place there. Cedric Hunter really making that bottom side work for him, trying to get around the 26 and the 95 in one shot. He gets around the 25. Now side by side battle for the 4th position between the 95 and the 11, and Yarrow best in this lap by, but Cedric's going to try and tuck into the tire tracks there of the 14. Maybe see if he can make something happen up there on the higher line. As you can see, loose for the 11 and the 5, but they both gather it back up. They keep rolling, working lap number 97.
They keep working under the green flag, stepping into the back bumper of Whitley. You see the 95 on your screen. That is Yarrow to the inside of the 14 of Brad Delph, and the 11 of Cedric Hunter to the outside. As Yarrow has been able to make that inside line and make... caution flag is out on the speed line. Been able to make that inside line work for a while, and impressed with the run that Yarrow has had, but oh no, another all by himself. And this one's Terry Duguay. Kong Beer Bong, instant replay of the 05.
Yeah, not really too much company going on with the 05 with Terry Duguay, and coming off of turn number 2 again. It looks like really tough part of the racetrack, and you can see the back end of the race car just kind of comes around. You can almost hear him come all the way off the throttle, but not quick enough. You can see he tries to tap the brakes to get the thing straightened out, and almost gets it stuck in the outside wall there, looking up at the fans, and that's when the caution flag does come out for the Duguay machine of the 05. Currently going to be scored to 22nd position. Still 23 cars on the lead lap, or on the racetrack rather. Art Milne, first car 1 lap down. I believe he's going to get the free pass here, putting all 23 of these competitors on that lead lap. So that's definitely good news there, but a tough break for Terry Duguay, spinning around here in the 05 car on lap 99.
Yeah, the tough break for Terry Duguay, all by himself as the very last car in line. He'll come down pit road and hopefully get a set of tires on that thing and get back out onto the racetrack. And looks like we had a couple of drivers, Todd Neese among them, down on the pit road in the 26 car. Todd has probably been the most underrated driver, I think, in this field so far this evening. We talked about him a little bit earlier on, fighting a little bit of a push condition about halfway through this run, or halfway through what we have so far, battling around the 10th place, but was able to parlay some pit strategy into a top 5 run, and now he's on pit road. I kind of like the strategy that Todd Neese is pulling, but he's going to need some green flag laps to really get back up there and make it happen. But keep an eye on that 26 car. I think he's due here, and he might get himself a top 5 finish the way this race is kind of playing out.
Just kind of checking in with the drivers that came down in the last caution. Hunter Hayward was the first car off of pit road with 4 fresh tires. Currently only running in the 16th position after 5 or 6 laps, 7 laps as it were. You can see running the on the bottom right there. I'm wondering if he's maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel, if he's potentially maybe going to go the final 90 laps on the same fuel tank. Really tough to tell with some of these strategies that these drivers use. We've made mention a limited number of tires on pit road for each team, so and it's not iRacing doesn't quite have it worked out where you can put scuffs on towards the end of the race. So that's going to be that's really going to play into a factor, I think. 190 laps here at New Hampshire. Yes, it's only a 1 mile a short track, as it were, but it's a flat racetrack. It really, really burns up the tires as these drivers are hard on the brake and just really, really turning these cars as hard as they possibly can in both turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I think the tires are really going to be the story of the race. I think whoever saves a set for potentially a late race caution, lapped 20 to 30 laps to go, maybe half of the runs that we've seen here. I think that's going to be the race-winning move, saving some tires. And we know Mark Whitley still has some. Steven Stepien, he's still got a set of tires or two down there. Michael Yarrow, the 95. So a lot of these guys potentially waiting for late race strategies, but it's also one of those things, Tim, where you can make a plan all you want. It's really tough to control everything that's outside of your control. You can control what you do, but with everybody else on track at the same time, there's always the potential for a wreck. There's always the potential for lap traffic and all the other unknowns as well. So you can plan for the best and hope for the best, but to make sure you've got a backup plan, because we've seen time and time again here on Verdane TV, anything can happen.
And the other half of it too, and Hunter Hayward came down pit road. He's got that one set of tires remaining, we believe, in the pits. Running right now in the 21 is running position 16 right now, so he's about the middle of the pack. The thing that kind of concerns me about that area of the field is that most of the cautions that we've seen have been single car spins or 2 or 3 car spins, but it's happened around that middle portion of the field. So as we get ready to go green, Braden Caress has been able to make his way through. He's back up into the top 10. A lot of those drivers have, but if I'm Hayward, I kind of want to tiptoe a little bit of my way through there. Mark Whitley, I think, is on the best strategy. He currently leads this thing, has a couple of extra sets of tires sitting in the pits for the second half of this race. Stepney might have a shot here if we get some green flag racing, because he's got fresher tires than the 77 does, and he might have a shot at the lead position there. Car looks pretty good, minus a little bit of a rough spot on that left rear corner. But Michael Yarrow's been another one we see on our screen there. That 95 car has been able to work the inside and able to do it to a T. He has been learning throughout this race as he's been able to pick up positions as we go. So I think the 95 might have something, as the 81 nearly got into the leader of Mark Whitley in the middle of 1 and 2. And I think Stepney has a quicker race car, Paul, but quicker is one thing. You got to get by him, especially with a narrow groove like we have here at Loudon. How do you get by him is a completely different ballgame.
Absolutely. You can see the 81 of Stepien kind of tucking in the tire tracks, again, going to school, doing his homework, trying to figure out where the potential for the 77 to make a little mistake is going to be. You can see he closes right into the back bumper, and then he has to let off because, well, just two physical objects can't be in the same spot at the same time, whether it's simulated or in real life. But he's doing a great job. He's really holding on. You can almost put a chain between the 77 and the 81. You can see 95 dipping all the way down, almost touching that yellow line. Michael Yarrow trying to make this battle for a lead, a three-way dance. We cross the stripe, working lap number 106.
Yeah, I think Stepney is going to have something here for the 77. Look at that thing being able to cut. It's got that fresher tires. That's that advantage. We haven't had a whole lot of green flag laps here since Stepney was down on pit road. So I think currently at this point between these two, the advantage kind of has to go to Stepney, and it might have to go to Yarrow too, because he's right up on this battle. But Mark Whitley, we know how good he is, period, when it comes to these races, and doing a great job holding off those two behind him.
You can see the top three pretty much single file right now, all running roughly the same groove. And you can see the 95 dipping down low, and every time the 81 tries to take advantage of the 77, the 95 moves on in a little bit closer in the rearview mirror of the number 81. So Stepien kind of having to work out the windshield and the rearview mirror to keep that 95 there. 95's there. He's right on the back bumper there of the 81 there. You can see backs up just a little bit, and it's still working. Well, caution comes out on the speedway once again. Looks like we got a big bottle
multi-cars. Yeah, and Paul, this was brewing for about 5 laps, because I know Hunter Hayward for a couple laps was behind this incident, and he was kind of chiming in on the radio, fresh tires, got to go. And those guys, I think Paul refused to move, so I think the chrome horn may have been used, and Hayward was about to bowl a strike until somebody got in behind him. We'll take a look at this Kong Beer Bong instant replay.
Yeah, and once again, shoot over to kong.2drunk.net and pick yourself up one of these awesome party favors. Make a lot of beer go down very, very quickly, and going to take a peek. We're going to focus in on that 21 car, and you can see the 9 and the 24 kind of side by side in front. They're on older tires. They're in the back of the pack, and the 21, it was tough to see. There was definitely some potential of a little bit of chrome horn. You can see a little bit of contact into the back of the 9 car. Checks up just a little bit, but gets the 9 just out of shape enough. You can see the 25 kisses the wall just a little bit. The 4 car involved. The 16 Busch car gets spun around as well. So no major hits, no big night-ending wrecks back here, but from 10th on back to about 16th, got a little piece of the action, and it's going to be time to possibly come down pit road. It looks like we've got about a dozen or so cars down there.
And it's led by Mark Whitley, and it'll be led off of pit road by Mark Whitley, Brad Delph, Lane Doyle, Joseph McWhorter coming down. I believe that's his final set of tires. I could be wrong, but I believe that might be McWhorter's final set of tires on that race car. And if that's the case, then he's got a long way to go. I don't know if that the 4 sets of tires includes what maybe might put on the race car on a fast repair. I don't think it does. I think it's 4 sets of tires total, and if that's the case, and if McWhorter took tires every time he's come down into pit road, that might be it. That's a long way to go on 1 set of tires here, 90 laps.
Definitely doable, but that car's going to be an absolute handful. Even if the cautions keep up like they are now, Mark Whitley was able to hold on to the racetrack for quite some time, but we did have quite a number of cautions between lap number 1 and lap number 110 here, so had everything he pretty much needed to hold on to the lead. He was able to get that fresh air on each of the restarts, and was able to almost pick his own line and kind of choose who was going to run the race where up in the top couple of positions. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in the back towards the middle and back of the pack. He is going to have fresh tires. He's going to be much quicker than some of the drivers back there without tires, but Whitley going to have a long way to go to try and restart here in 15th.
Trying to go back and trying to take a look at some of these pit stops, Paul, and see where McWhorter may have taken tires or not taken tires. But I believe he's been down 3 times. If he's changed tires every single time, that would put him as 4 sets of tires used on this race so far. So if that's the case, that's a long way to go on 1 set of tires. We'll see what transpires. That's why we're kind of up here and not down there. But interesting to follow nonetheless.
Kind of a show within the show, as it were. Able to follow on with the lead and all the different strategies throughout the field. The drivers all the way through. Just taking a quick look. Stampian out front, the 81 Budweiser machine. Michael Yarrow running the 95 machine in second. Cedric Hunter third. Caress fourth. Hartwell, Neese, Kochik, Ashley, and Neese and Bryan rounding out the top 10. James Bryan in the 04. Currently the top running rookie in that 10th position. So holding on really good. Lights are off in the iRacing Mustang pace car. We're going green flag racing once again. This time with Stempian out front on the inside, and the 95 of Michael Yarrow on the outside. There's a good restart from the 81. Gets about a half a car length before they get into turn number 1, but give the advantage to the 95. He may actually be able to pull off the pass on the outside line, and indeed he does. Slides that car right in front of the 81. New leader, 95, Michael Yarrow.
And just for a footnote, I just double-checked Joseph McWhorter. He came down pit road on 67 and 79 and did not take tires. So, and we've got one at the back and the inside. We are still green for the time being. Barney's trying to hold the yellow flag. We've had enough of that tonight. But that's Jason Adams. We stay green. McWhorter should have, side note, 1 set of tires left in the pits. So if Whitley took tires every time he came down, he should have 1 set of tires left as well. This is very interesting the way this is playing out. Michael Yarrow up in front. has been up in the top 5 for most of this race. Qualified position number 3 now has the clean air and shows away. And we got one around again. That is the 4. Hopefully Barney will hold the caution flag for this one, and I think he will too.
Yeah, Clifton Ashley, tough break, gets spun around on the inside, and we stay green. Starting to see that the single car spins are holding us up just a little bit, but we're looking at a gaggle of cars right now. This is, it's a battle for about 6 on back all the way through the rest of the pack. Some great racing throughout these drivers. There you can see the 5 of Lane right in the middle of all of it to 14 as well. The 14 of Brad Delph running in the 13th position. And there you see McWhorter, the 32. He's already up in the top 10 after coming down pit road most recently. Mark Whitley even further up. He's actually running in the 6th position. And there you can see Hunter Hayward in the 21. He's trying to get himself back up towards the top 5, towards the podium finish. But some great racing about mid-pack on back here.
They're trying to find a wreck back there in that pack in behind of what we're watching. They've been kind of dancing sideways the last couple laps, trying to, I think they're trying to find dancing partners back here, Paul, and some of them haven't been successful. Some of them maybe have had more than others. As you see, Todd Neese and Byron Bartlett, I believe that is on your screen. But battle for second's beginning to heat up. Cedric Hunter's been putting some pressure on Stephen Stempnian for 2nd place. He's got Braden Caressa behind him. And Brandon Hartwell, at one point in this race, we talked about the cautions that oh, there goes the 81. Got sent by the 11 and the 91 of Caressa going to go underneath. And here's Hartwell. This car, this 25 car, was 3 laps down at one point. With all the cautions, he's back on the lead lap, and this is the battle for position number 2 he's a part of.
Yeah, and you can look at that race car, and relatively clean all the way around. I'm not seeing too many dents or bruises on that car, so that's definitely good news there. You can see the 11 getting really, really loose there coming out of turn number 2. Some damage in the back end of that race car, but 5 cars under a blanket here for the 2nd position, working lap number 117, starting to get on closer here with the second half, now working towards lap number 190. Oh, there you can see the 11 gets loose, gets up under the wall glue, and tries to kind of turn away from the wall, but he doesn't want to turn down into the lower racing lane, so he's going to drop a couple of positions there on the outside line. Now running side by side with the 25 there of Brandon Hartwell for 5th position.
And the 77 is on a mission to the inside of Caressa that he goes, battling for position at number 3. And what a show that the 77 is putting on. And the one pit stop, and I don't want to jinx it, Paul, but the one pit stop, he goes to the back of the field. You have some green flag racing, no harm, no foul. He's able to move up already into the top 3. He's 2 seconds behind. Looking at his last lap time, even in traffic, was a 30.77, and that was what Yarrow was able to turn in a clean air. Stempnian in front of him was about a 10th slower. So Whitley's got the faster race car. It's just a matter of how quickly he can get to Yarrow and Stempnian in front of him for that spot. And he's on a mission. Looking in behind, Joseph McWhorter still has that one set of tires in the pit area. He's sitting in position number 7, but he hasn't been able to really carve through the field as quickly as some of the others, but he's been able to pass a few others, and that's going to be impeded because there is a caution flag on the speedway. And we'll see. We got a couple of cars here on the front straightaway that are looking a little bit broken. I think that's the 04 up there against the wall.
Yeah, James Byron running up in the top 10 all night long here so far, pointed in the wrong direction. He's got some big-time damage on the hood of that car as well, pretty much all the way around. So we'll back up to Kong Beer Bong Instant Replay, take a look at it. This is a couple of spins there. This time around, doesn't look like he was all by himself. Some of the drivers starting to get a little bit on the antsy side and running just a little bit harder as we get closer to the finish of the race. But I'm going to focus in on the 04 car, down low of the 56, and looks like the 56 tags the wall and kind of spins both himself and the 04 around. There you can see the 9 of Bartlett getting a piece of the action as well, and the 04 just kind of trying to shake the cobwebs out at that point and find where the shifter is, put it in the right gear, and there you can see starts to roll away. There we go. Gets that car moving once again. Still in the lead lap, but 23rd position. I'm really excited to see that we still have 23 cars here on the lead lap and still on track here, Tim.
I think we're going to lose a couple here. You saw that incident separate for Todd Neese. Went to the inside to avoid that and just barely got caught by the 16. Byron Bartlett was on the brakes a little late and was able to not avoid that. It's the 56's second incident of the night. He's got heavy smoke rolling from his race car, as does the 9. And you can see in front of them, we got some drivers down on pit road getting service to their race cars. So the 23 cars in the racetrack that we started with, think is going to be a little bit shorter. And you can see off that shot from pit road, there's some heavy smoke near the end of pit road. And I think we're going to have a couple of casualties here on lap number 122.
Definitely appears to be, and you can see a couple of drivers just kind of coming down for tires, topping off on fuel a little bit. Less than 70 laps to go here at New Hampshire, here for the Sim Racing Unleashed group. And again, we want to remind you, check out their website, SimRacingUnleashed.com. You've got the schedule, you've got the past champions, all their partners up there, a bunch of very entertaining YouTube videos. So be sure to check them out, and check them out on Facebook as well. Just do a quick search for Sim Racing Unleashed. We're linked up over on the Vidane TV Facebook page as well. And well, speaking of the social media outlets, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share. We appreciate you spending your Sunday nights here with us. Sim Racing Unleashed, Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., alongside Tim's Corner with Motorsports' very own Tim Terry, the voice of iRacing. And always good to be working with you here, Tim. Late night on a Sunday night for the both of us here. But great racing. A lot of yellow flags kind of sprinkled in, but when we do get the green flag racing, these guys are putting on a heck of a show.
And a lot of these drivers, we mentioned earlier that it's not necessarily a tough racetrack. It's just the racetrack can, it's one of those racetracks where you have to race the racetrack before you race the competitors. And I think we've seen, there's a few cases here tonight, 56, the 4, there's a few middle of the pack that the car just got away from them. And it's happened more than once. And that is not necessarily the other competitors defeating those drivers. It is the racetrack defeating those drivers, and the drivers kind of getting a little more than their race car will allow. So hopefully they can sit down. Maybe the admins can have a little discussion with some of these drivers post-race and say, hey, you can only take as much as the car is going to give you. You cannot take any more. In the case of some of these drivers, I don't know if it's not necessarily they're not doing any practice, or they're not doing any practice in traffic, or they're not used to the way their car is going to handle on the old tires. But I think for some, it might be just a little bit lost on them. And I'm not saying this to be hard on some of those drivers, Paul, but you mentioned you and I have been around the block for a little while. We've seen this sim racing simulation unfold. We've seen many laps, and many of these drivers come up through some of the ranks, and everybody has a bad night. For a lot of these drivers, this is their bad night. And they've got less than 65 laps or so to get this one sewn up and in the book. But speaking about in the book, Stephen Stempney is your leader. Mark Whitley now to the outside. We're getting ready to go back racing.
Try this restart thing, one more again, and there you can see a great jump from the 77 of Mark Whitley on the outside. And don't look now, there's the 32 of beg pardon. There's the 32 of Joseph McWhorter making it happen on the outside the hard way. He's going to set his sights on Mark Whitley at this point, as those two drivers starting to pull away from the field. Sempian still running on, looks like 58 to 60 lap old tires there on the 81. Doing a great job holding onto that race car, but desperately wants to get some 4 fresh feel goods on that car. And I think he's been saving that set of tires, like you said, Tim, for towards the end of the race. So that's going to be interesting. A very, very fast car. The number 81 Budweiser machine, and I think once we get some tires on that 81, that's going to be a spectacle to see. We just watched the 77 and the 32 both cut through the field as well on the fresher tires, so I think we may be watching that once again here coming up in 10 to 20 laps or so when the 81 decides to come down pit road.
And you know what? I think we got the top 2, top 3, 4, 5-ish that were running up front earlier. I think they've their pitch strategies have kind of amalgamated together. The only one I think we're really missing up here is the caution flag flies for the 46th time this evening, is Michael Yarrow, who is running right now in position number 9, but he just came down pit road, Paul. So I think the 95, with the way his prowess has been, he's been able to really pick off drivers and in positions and get to the front. I think he's going to be there before it's all said and done. So I think the drivers that are up in front have deserved to be there. They've shown all night they've had speed, but it hasn't been hasn't played out for some of them. Let's take a look at the Colin Beerbong instant replay. What happened here?
Big bada boom, it appears. We can see the 26, the 6, and the 56 all involved in this one, and we'll give you the Kong Beer Bong instant replay, and we're going to do it live. There's the 26 down low, and you can see the contact of the 56 of the back bumper. The 6 kind of shoots him down low into the racing groove, and a couple of drivers going for the same piece of real estate. Not going to work out, especially for the 6 car. You can see Robert Cheswick up on the outside. Finally does release that brake pedal, shaking the cobwebs out, and he's going to get down and away once again. Doesn't appear to be losing a lap here, but lots of front end damage on the 6 car, and pretty much caved in the sheet metal all the way around, and the motor actually sounds pretty sour on that thing. And you can see coming down the backstretch, kind of dog walking it a little bit. So may very well be our first casualty here of the race. There is some big time damage with the steering of that 6 car.
And looking at that incident, that's the second straight incident the 56 brought out tonight, and I think that might be the third or fourth he's involved in altogether. So we talked about earlier about having an incident system or having a 3-strike rule or something like that. Most of the time in these leagues, you don't need to use it. I'll bring out my own league on Wednesday nights that we have here on Bedane TV. We have a 3-strike rule. Most of the times we don't get there because if we do have a bad night, it's multiple drivers bringing out the caution flags. We've gone 120 on laps. I don't know what the caution count is. I think we got to be at least a dozen cautions. But we get to that point where it starts to be the common denominators involved. I can't see that number. Is that 12? Yeah, we were at a dozen cautions. So it starts to be that. The 56 has definitely caused 3 of them tonight. If they don't have a 3-strike rule, it might be time to either take a look at it, or if we're in the case of the 56, it's not our night. It's not our night. We saw that, and Paul, I don't know if you saw the Fox broadcast, but Mike Joy had casually mentioned that the 51 car had been involved in 3 of the first 8 caution flags of the evening, the Cody Ware car in the Cup Series. So sometimes you don't have great nights, and for some of these drivers, it's starting to rear its head. There's the 95 car. I want to talk about good nights. Michael Yarrow has really proved how he can pass cars on the inside and get to the front of the field. I think there's one car that we keep putting the spotlight on Mark Whitley and McWhorter and Hunter Hayward, and rightfully so, because they're running up front. The 95 of Yarrow, I believe, deserves a little bit of that spotlight as well, because look at that car. Obviously, there's quick repairs in this series, but he's got a clean race car. He's got a quick race car, and I think he's going to have something before this thing is all said and done for these guys. Maybe not necessarily for the win, but I think he's going to be knocking on the door.
For sure, and he's led a couple of handfuls of lap here at New Hampshire throughout the evening, 10 on the board for that number 95 car. So race isn't done yet. He's up towards the front. He's in the 7th position, and he just came down pit road about 10 laps ago under that last caution. So fresher tires up front. The potential, some of these other top 7, top 10 drivers going to have to come down pit road, depending on how the caution flags fly here. But definitely keep an eye on that 95 car. Going to be working his way, or at least trying to work his way up towards the front. But there you can see those 3 drivers we've been talking about all night. Whitley, McWhorter, and Hayward, they're all up front. And take a look at the 5 car. That's that 5 car lane. Doyle working his way up into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. And 72 been knocking on the back door there of Stephen Leffler. So a couple of drivers involved in some incidents earlier on, doing a great job towards the end here. Working about 59, 58 laps to go once we cross the stripe, and when we do cross that stripe, green flag is going to fly once again. And again, it's going to be the 77 on the bottom with the 32 on the high side. Restart in the air, green flag in the air, restart right in front of your face there. And the 77 going to get the whole shot. He's got about 2 or 3 positions, 2 or 3 car lengths before they get out of turn number 2. But there you can see the 21 trying to get right up to the back bumper of the 32, but the 32 seems to be pulling away.
In top 4, get single file, battle in behind for about 5th or 6th. Stephen Leffler doing a great job here tonight, Paul, running in position number 5. He's got Yarrow to the inside, the 14 of Brad Delp, also a part of this little battle. But give a call out to Stephen Leffler, started in 10th. He's kind of been hanging out around that top 10 or so. Pulled some pit strategy a little bit earlier, and now he's got Michael Yarrow there, and in front of them, how about Lane Doyle? Making a move on the 21 of Hayward, side by side for that position down the back straightaway, and The car almost got away from Lane coming off. Oh, it got away from him again. Into the 21 he goes and shoves the 21 in the fence.
21 hard contact with that outside line, but he does a good job holding on to that car. But it looks like that hit was a lot harder than it looked. Dropping like an absolute rock here on the front straightaway. The 56 getting by, the 24 getting by as well. There you can see the 16 and the 9 trying to make it work on the high side. Hunter Hayward dropping backwards in a big way. There's something wrong with that race car. Something is very, very broke. And you may see that 21 car come down pit road very, very soon.
I would say the motor is probably shifted over the wrong way with that race car. Took a quick look back there at that replay, Paul. The 21 kind of comes into the corner. The inside car, the 5, kind of doesn't turn. So I don't know if you could really blame somebody on that incident, but Lane Doyle still has a race car to battle with. Michael Yarrow going to go to the inside of him as they battle for position number 3. And there is the yellow flag out on the speedway. And it is on the back straightaway. A little bit of, it's the 4 car again, I believe. That brings out the yellow flag, and big bada boom, all by himself. Third caution flag of the night for the 4. We'll take a look at the Kong Beer Bong instant replay. He's getting more TV time than some of the drivers up in front, Paul.
He is too, and spun around coming out of turn number 2 once again. And that just seems to be the calamity corner here this evening here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Maybe there's somebody grilling down there, and there's some burgers on the grill, and drivers are just trying to peek left and just kind of losing focus for a brief second. There you can see he doesn't really hit anything. Just kind of gives a little show to some of the campers down there in the infield. Fans camping out there and iRacing. I think that's a thing. But caution flag comes out. Nobody gets hit. Nobody gets any additional damage. Just a self-spin coming out of turn number 2 once again for the number 4 car. Still in the lead lap. 23 cars on the lead lap here, but Clifton Ashley here in the number 4 going to have to restart in at the 23rd position. So tough break, tough road to hoe for the 4 car. We'll see what he can do here in the last handful of laps as we're slowly starting to approach that lap 190 mark.
Can we take a look at the 21 and the 5 incident going down to turn number 3 a couple laps ago, just to bring that back up? Because it was a tight racing incident, I think, Paul. I called it as the 5 being at fault at first, but I think it was a racing deal, and I'm seeing the 21 down on pit road right now. He does have the quick repair. That car is going to be back to racing condition, but maybe we can take a look at this maybe from the roof. From that angle right there that you have, the TV view, kind of looks like the 5 might be at fault, but let's take a couple of looks at it and see what transpired here.
Yeah, and there you can see the 21 and the 5. Well, almost, you're right. I think it almost looks like the 21 tries to come down just a little bit, but you can see just how violent that hit was. Actually slaps the outside wall twice, and you can hear it pop, pop, and that's definitely going to do awful things to the inside of that race car, and there you see it once again. So that's a hard hit for the 21, and you can see even from this shot, this car is junk. But he did come down pit road, like you said. He took that quick repair, and going to be restarting the 18th position. Still plenty of time, I think, for him to try and work his way up towards the front here.
Can we take one more look at that from the blimp or the chopper just to see? Because the 21 car, we do a lot of this on our TCM events, trying to look at replays and trying to see if there's anybody at fault. We go through this a lot on Wednesday nights. Take a look at this, and I think this might tell the tale where the 21 looks like he cuts down, but the 5 kind of does a late entry into the corner as they go down there. The 5 could have been a little bit lower, I think. The 21 could have given him a little bit more room, but if he gives him a little more room, he might end up being in the fence going down into the corner, Paul. So I don't think you can pin this exactly on anybody. I think it's just hard racing.
Yeah, a couple of cars going for the same piece of real estate. And you're right. You're looking at it from the chopper view here. It's like the 5 was almost maybe potentially loose, so maybe he didn't want to turn left as hard. And unfortunately, when he did that, the 21 car was there, and that's what shot him up into the wall. So a couple of drivers just going for the same piece of real estate. Hard racing here in the second half here at New Hampshire.
We have our first retiree for the evening. Byron Bartlett has decided that he is done for the evening. That's a tough break for the number 9 car, and he was one of those drivers that really, for the most part, kept his car clean. Was involved in a couple of incidents tonight, but wasn't really his own fault. Kind of got tagged in that big incident on the front straightaway, that multi-car incident where he was trying to get to the inside and couldn't get on the brakes quick enough, and driver kind of pinballed into him. So really wasn't his fault. But our first casualty of the evening is Byron Bartlett. He will finish in 23rd. We'll go back to Green Flag Racing with 139 laps completed. Mark Whitley and Joseph McWhorter are your top 2. Lane Doyle, Michael Yarrow, and Braden Caress, your top 5. Green flag will fly right here, and we are back underway. Down the front straightaway we come, and we will have 50 laps to go next time by.
50 laps, 50 miles to go here. Long night at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, but making a show out of it. These Sim Racing Unleashed guys doing a pretty good job of the Green Flag Racing. Couple of cautions, well, more than a couple of cautions sprinkled in here throughout the evening. But as you can see, the Green Flag Racing pretty phenomenal there. You can see Whitley kind of skating around there, losing the back end just a little bit, but he is able to hold on to it. And he's got about a 3 or 4 car length lead over McWhorter. There you can see Doyle and Yarrow kind of still side by side for that 3rd position, and the 91 trying to come up, as well as the 25 car moving the Karras and the Hartwell machine up into the fight here, trying to grab and hold on to the top 5 and maybe get a little bit closer to that podium. And you can see everybody else not quite the conveyor belt style of racing just yet. I think this is going to be the opportunity where we get a little bit of a green run to kind of get everybody to sort it out and hopefully run this thing all the way up to the checkered flag. Been a long night here so far, but lots of different strategies going on, and it appears that the cream is rise to the top. Whitley and McWhorter up front, and we'll check in Hunter Hayward coming down pit road to get that reset after that damage. He's already raced himself up to the 11th position, and with everybody single file right now like this, Tim, he's really going to be able to kind of pick these drivers off one by one and show just why that 21 team is championship caliber.
And looking at the traffic that he's in right now, he's at a couple of cars that really haven't been factors this evening, and now we're getting up into the drivers that might have stayed out a little bit longer on the tires than him necessarily. He might not be necessarily beating the talent, but he's beating the tires on those race cars. He'll go to the inside of the 14 of Brad Delp. Brad's been running in the top 10 for most of this evening's race and now finds himself one more spot closer towards the front. Stephen Stempney, and we've obviously documented his efforts this evening in the top 5 for most of the run, but a little battle in front of him as they battle between Hartwell, Doyle, and Hunter, and this battle is going to accordion together, and there goes the 21 down to the inside, but I keep my eye, if I'm the 21, kind of keep my eye up the road here between the 25 and the 5.
For sure, and you saw the 21 car get a little bit loose as he came out of turn number 2, and that's going to be the danger zone that we've had all night long. A lot of drivers struggling with the exit of turn 2, but Hayward was able to hold on to that race car, hold on to the position. You can see still side by side with Sempian, and as he sinks it down into turn number 2, almost picks off 3 for 1 there, gets around the 81, slides up in front of him, and now he's all over the back bumper of the Hello Kitty number 11, who's all over the Bob Ross number 5. And these drivers really starting to pick up the pace. They know the time is starting to run out. We're finally working on the second half, final quarter of this race, fourth quarter, if you will. It's time to go, and these drivers know it.
Beautiful move by the 11 of Cedric Hunter to put himself to the inside where he needs to be, and right in behind him, the 21 of Hunter Hayward, trying to position himself and trying to do the same, but he's got the 25 of Hartwell to the inside. Beautiful move by Hunter, picks him up one more spot, moves him to position number 5. Here comes the 21 of Hayward, going to slide it on down to the inside of the 5, and these are the two that had the little set 2 little contact a little bit earlier on. I'm sure that's in the back of the 21's mind, but he will move right on ahead of him and maybe tip the cap to the 5 and take position number 5, or check that 6 away as they battle now in behind them between the 5 of Doyle and Stempney and in the 81 as they go door to door down the back straightaway. Whitley continues to lead. Michael Yarrow in second, but we got a battle for second on our hands too, Paul. It's hard to watch just one battle here because there's so much action here. Yarrow has the advantage. McWhorter falls back to third, and Caress is on his back bumper. So there's some scores to be settled here too.
Yeah, these guys know that they're starting to run out of time. 42 laps to go here onto the board, and the leader has checked out has about a half second Whitley over the number 95 of Yarrow, and you can see those three drivers still right in contact with second place. And that 91 DoorDash car really starting to show some strength up a little bit higher line than McWhorter in the 32s. You can see, just as I say that, kind of peaks low to see if he can maybe get a little bit of clean air on that DoorDash Toyota to see where he can possibly get around. You can see taking a peek again on the inside. He's going to try and make it stick, but he's got a little bit fresher tires than the 32, and looks like he's got a little bit higher confidence that time coming out of turn number 2 as he heads down to 3. They're going to be door to door when they get there, but I don't think the 91's got quite enough to make that pass happen on the bottom.
Entry to center, he's able to get that car to turn a little bit better than the 32. McWhorter seems to have him beat off the corner, especially in turn 3 and 4 there. It looked a little more stable than it did in 1 and 2 the last time, and just enough to get that advantage. The 91's going to be able to get a cut here. Look at a great drive off of turn number 2. That thing able to cut center off. Doesn't have the position, but has a pretty good fight for that inside line as this continues to be the battle for position number 3. Michael Yarrow has actually reeled in Mark Whitley. Yarrow has fresher tires. It was about 0.8 of a second. It's down to about 0.3 of a second now between Yarrow and Whitley as you ride on board with the 95. And I don't want to bring up that word again, Paul, but we get a caution in about 20 laps or so. This sets up for a pretty good finish because I think both of them come down pit road and they both put tires in the race car and it's mono on mono. But the 95, if this thing goes green the rest of the way, he's got this thing figured out up front.
That 95 is driving the ever-loving stuffing out of that race car. You saw washed up just a little bit as he entered a little bit too hot in that last corner there. You can see closes right into the back bumper of that 77, but Whitley is just so good coming off of the corners. He's able to put that much distance right back on the 95 car. So really going to be interesting, like you made mention, if we get that caution flag word that you made mention, if we get one of those here in 10-20 laps, there's going to be somebody that stays out. There's going to be someone that's going to gamble there. And there's going to be a lot of drivers probably coming down for 2 tires, 4 tires, and lots of different strategies here. There's a lot of different strategy setups here. I mean, the freshest tire right now, Hunter Hayward, he's in the 21 car. He's just moved himself up into the top 5 at this point. So he came down under that last caution, got that quick repair, and he's in the center of 3 wide. So he's going to have to try and make that thing stick.
Yeah, he's not afraid to make any moves here because I think he kind of sees this race playing out the way we do up here, where there's still some cars on the racetrack that kind of scare me a little bit with the way that they're handling themselves, Paul, with the way that those cars are slip sliding around. But I think Hayward sees those 2 cars in front of him getting a little bit smaller in the windshield and knows that he's got them beat when it comes to, oh, there's the yellow. Never mind. He still has them beat on tire strategy unless these 2 come down on pit road ahead of him right now. But we got the Bob Ross car around in turn number 1 and 2, which will draw the yellow flag. And Paul, that was, I was going to say that was right behind our leaders, but that was for about 11th place or so. We'll cue up the Kong Beer Bong instant replay, and it looks like Bob had a little bit of help in this painting.
Yeah, we'll take a happy look here at this happy little replay, and definitely a little bit of help there. You can see the 26 shooting on down low. That's going to be the Nice machine, and you can see just gets right into the corner panel, kind of flapjacks him a little bit, and spins him around half turn there into the outside wall. And there you can see the 4 car holding on to it, I think, trying to avoid the car up by the wall there. But Lane's able to grab a gear, spin around, some big time damage on that Mustang, but I believe he's still got one more quick repair. Nope, done for the evening. That 5 car going to retire to the garage area. It's going to leave us 21 drivers left out on track on the lead lap. Last one being Terry Duguay in the 5 car running in that 21st position.
Paul, can you back up that replay about 2 laps before that? Because we talk about, shining the spotlight on these drivers that might not necessarily have the luck, but keep going back. We're gonna see a save from the 5 about 2 or 3 laps before he was battling with the 26. He was battling with the 72 car, and he comes off at turn number 4 and makes one hell of a save on that inside and is able to get away from him, but obviously not able to get away from it here. Paul, take a look at this.
Yeah, great save from that 5 car. That's the wrecked for about half a lap there, but it was able to collect it back up and avoid any kind of contact with any walls or other drivers. So that was definitely some heads-up driving for Lane, but tough break because a couple laps later, unfortunately, going to end the night for that 5 car.
Yeah, that should have been into the inside wall and done for the evening. He's lucky it didn't end there. Unfortunately, it ended a couple of laps afterwards. Mark Whitley came down on pit road on that caution flag to get tires. Joseph McWhorter, I believe, took his final set of tires on that yellow flag too. So those two of the drivers that have been dominant this evening that have run up front are now going to restart. It looks like they're going to start back here in 12th and 13th. They've got a couple of cars ahead of them that they've got to get by, and then they can kind of set their sights on some of the faster cars that are on older tires. Michael Yarrow is going to inherit the lead. Hunter Hayward is going to be in second. Braden Caress, Cedric Hunter, Stephen Stempney in your top 5. We kind of talked about those names all night long, Paul. Those top 5 have kind of either been in the top 5 or kind of ran in the top 5 at one point. Stephen Leffler's had a great run up to position number 6. Brandon Hartwell documented from 3 laps down back to 7th. Todd Neese. Dakota Bryan has had I'm surprised he's running 9th, but it's great to see. And Mark Koshik, the 33, has had his ups and downs tonight, and that fender number 33, and he runs in position number 11 with Terry Duguay right behind him, or check that, Terry Duguay position number 11 in the 05, and then you have Mark Whitley, Joseph Warder, and those drivers that have come down onto pit road. 158 will be completed this time by, and we'll be back to green when they do complete that lap. And the one thing I was going to mention, Paul, and I kind of don't want to mention it right now in case we get into some trouble, we'll have just over 30 laps left to go in this race. There is a time limit on this race of 2 hours and 25 minutes. We have completed just over 1 hour and 52 minutes in this race, which means we have just over a half hour left to complete just over 30 laps. Wasn't looking great a couple of minutes ago, and then we got some green flag racing in. Don't want to be that guy, but if we do get to that point at the end of the race, time may be of a concern if we continue to run some caution flag laps. We should be okay, but always want to put that in the back of the mind just in case you start to reel off some caution flags, and we have seen that here this evening. But I think all the wrecking's out of the system. Pace car is on pit road. Michael Yarrow in command, and Hunter Hayward on those new tires. A 95 spun the old ones. Green flag flies, and that 21 is gone with a little bit of help from Cedric Hunter to the inside.
That's really going to stack the field up behind them, and it looks like everybody is going to get away on no harm, no foul so far. But man, oh man, you're looking through this field here, 2 and 3 wide, mid-pack on back, and you can just see some of these drivers are already making the best of it. Whoa, we got a couple of cars around there coming out. Caution flag going to fly once again. The 24 is involved, and well, we're going to have to back that up and find out what went down on another Kong Beer Bong instant replay.
Oh, that was a rough little stack up there in front of the 24. The 24 has been involved in a few yellow flags. I don't think any of them have really been Jason's fault. There might have been one that he might have got the wrong end of the stick on, but for the most part, he hasn't been the cautions. And I think this was the 4th of the night for the 4 car, but this one's not by himself, Paul.
Yeah, you saw the contact of the 4 getting into the 27 just a bit, and 4 was able to skate on by there, and the 27 a little bit worse for wear, and a couple of other cars kind of collected in that mess as well. We'll back this up one more time to get a little bit closer look here, and it's almost a product of that restart where all the way up towards the front, we saw the driver we saw the leader spin the tires, and everybody in behind them kind of stacked up, and there you see the contact between the 4 and the 25 there as well. The 24 nowhere to go, kind of plows right into the back of the 27. Luckily the 27 was able to keep going, but it does appear that he, as well as a handful of other drivers, are going to come down pit road and try and get some tires and possibly repairs.
So now Hunter Hayward has the lead. Fresher tires compared to the driver that was starting on the inside of Michael Yarrow. If I'm Michael Yarrow, I might want to come down and get tires on my car. And as I say that, I look down on pit road and there's the 95. So he's taking his final set of tires. He's probably going to start not too far in behind. I shouldn't say that. I was going to say right where Mark Whitley and those Joseph McWhorter and those guys are. And actually, it's not too far off. But he's going to have about a half dozen cars to maybe 8 cars in between himself and those drivers that just came down pit road. So I like the strategy on the 95 if this thing stays green. But if this thing stays green, he's got a long way to go to get up front. I don't know if it's a winning strategy, but the guy is smart. If we've learned anything tonight over the 15 cautions or 16 cautions we've seen tonight, I think the 95 car, at least being able to pick his battles, Paul, and pick those spots where you can make those moves. I think Michael Yarrow might be one of the smarter drivers that we've seen here this evening, being able to pick up those spots. So if anybody can come from the back with these few laps that we have left, it might be the 95 car on these new tires.
Yeah, and this is definitely going to play a couple of different tire strategies starting to play out here. We see Hunter Hayward up front. He's got 25 laps on his tires. There you can see Cedric Hunter up in the second position, highest he's been all night long. He came down pit road 33 laps ago. So it's to look in right now, top 5 drivers out there have anywhere between 25 and 35 laps on their tires, depending on the last 2 cautions there. And the 77 car, Mark Whitley, currently running in the 6th spot. He came down to the last caution, as well as the 32 with Joseph McWhorter. They're running 6th and 8th right now. Dakota Bryan and the 56 kind of sitting between those 2 drivers on much older tires, on 40-lap tires. So a lot of different strategies playing out here. We got less than 30 to go. The lights are off on that iRacing Mustang pace car. And we got a bunch of drivers in the back of the pack that have 4 fresh tires as well. So this is going to get good. I think we're going to see a little bit of some hard racing here, Tim.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting finish to this one. But we'll see who comes out on top. Hayward has taken the outside line on this restart. First time we've really seen anybody do that all evening. Cedric Hunter going to start on the inside. And I think the dark horse here, actually you got 2 in the top 5. You got Todd Neese. We talked about Todd's run that he's had tonight, up and down, and was kind of in the middle of that pack coming through, but now he's in 5th. Going to have Mark Whitley on the outside, Joseph McWhorter in behind him, but give a call out to Todd Neese and give a call out to Stephen Leffler as well, running in 3rd. Those 2 have been the workhorses tonight. They put their boots on and gone to war, and currently in a top 5 run, but they're still in it here. As the green flag flies, we are back underway as Chiswick at the back almost has a moment. We stay green, but he was down way to the inside, but now that sense of urgency, Paul, is ramped up. I think we're going to see some hard-nosed racing here in these closing few laps this one.
Business picking up for sure here. Sim Racing Unleashed. And, we got the 14 car around it down to the inside. We're going to stay green momentarily. We'll see if Barney's going to hold on to that caution flag. It appears he does, so that's going to send the 14 all the way back to that 21st position. Tough break for Brad Delph, but we got a race to run. Green flag is still out, and you can see Hunter Hayward starting to get a mirror of that Hello Kitty logo right in his back bumper. Cedric Hunter moving in into the lower line here, trying to take a peek, seeing if he can maybe get the run down low, but thinks better of it. Tucks back into the tire tracks of the 21 car.
Yeah, they continue to race here up in front. Joseph McWhorter is trying to make a move on the 72 and dispatch him outside the top 5. He will indeed do so. Mark Whitley is the one that is on the move ahead of them. They go to the inside of the Hello Kitty, number 11. Mark Whitley looking to pick up the lead here, and it might not be long, but you know Hunter Hayward is going to be on his game, make him earn it. Down the back, straight away they go. Looks like Whitley going to pick up position number 2, and there's the caution. Yellow flag will fly, so we'll see a mono-on-mono battle when we go back to green between Hayward and Whitley, but Dakota Bryan with his, I believe, he's back there with somebody else, but yeah, nope, that was definitely the 4th caution at least on the evening for the 56 car, and he was not alone. It takes out Michael Yarrow with him. Take a look at the replay.
Yeah, 56 and the 4 car both having a rough go of it here this evening, and you can see kind of right in front of 3 wide situation, and there goes the back end of the race car coming out of turn number 2. So collects Yarrow on the 95. You see 56 kind of skating to a stop here, and man, the 04 is involved. The 24 is involved as well. The 16, big time damage. The 95 damage doesn't look too bad, but he was able to grab a gear and get pointed in the right direction once again. But man, the 56 car losing the back end of the race car once again, spinning out, coming out of turn number 2, and it's one of those things that you really have to kind of focus on. You can't hammer down on that throttle coming out like that with these big, heavy cup cars. It's one of those things you kind of have to finesse that pedal just a little bit, especially under under older tire wear. So it's one of these things that, I mean, these drivers have to think about a lot going throughout the entire race, especially after 168 laps here. It's 168 miles these drivers have driven so far, and the goal is to get to 190 with the potential of a green-white checkered. So there's even potential to run a little bit further distance than 190 miles here tonight. So a lot of these drivers starting to maybe show that they're losing focus just a little bit. Been at this for a very, very long time here tonight. These guys run about 50% or so the distance of the actual NASCAR Cup races. So pretty cool to see. A little bit rough on the caution side every now and again, but the green flag racing's been pretty good. And it's the cream pretty much rises to the top once again. We see Hunter Hayward out front in the number 21 car. Mark Whitley, easy enough for me to say, in the 77. He's running in the second position. Joseph McWhorter's worked his way up into the third position, and we're showing the 4 car of Clifton Ashley running in the 4th position as well. So that's I've seen that 4 car had a couple of incidents earlier on, well, more than a couple of incidents earlier on, but worked his way up into the top 5.
We got 24 minutes left in this race and 22 laps remaining in this race. I don't want to bring that up, but you also mentioned, Paul, the potential of a green-white checker at the end. If we continue to grab a couple of yellow flags, we're going to be right up on that time limit of 2 hours and 25 minutes here, well, in 24 minutes or less. So just keep that in mind. We should be good on laps, but keep in mind it's taking them about a minute 6, a minute 7 to get by there. You might not think that's a whole lot, but when you add those extra 6 or 7 seconds together when they're doing 30-second laps, it kind of evens itself out. But in theory, we should probably be done by now when you look at the laps on the board and you look at the time on the board. But we'll finish this off. A lot of drivers came down pit road. Want to report that Michael Yarrow did have his quick repair still available, so Michael Yarrow has a fresh race car, and that's probably bad news to the rest of the field, knowing how fast he is. It's just a matter of trying to pick his way through traffic. That is why Clifton Ashley is running in 4th. He matches his car number. I think he's had 3 caution flags, probably the root cause of tonight. But earlier in the race, he had moved his way from the 19th place up to position number 10 or so. So he has a quick race car. He just needs to, as you mentioned, Paul, keep it underneath him and make sure he doesn't beat himself or the racetrack doesn't beat himself. But he's starting up near the front of the field. We'll see what happens here. It's Whitley and Hayward. Mono a mono up in front, and Hayward is taking that outside line.
Drivers really having to focus a little bit extra here in the final 20 laps, especially coming out of turn number 2, where a lot of drivers are losing the back of the race car and getting real loose. You just really have to focus on driving the car and kind of focus on everybody else around you as an afterthought. But the green flag is going to fly here once again, and a little bit of a jump on the outside for Hayward. The 21 still side by side as they head on down into turn number 1, and that McWhorter machine, the number 32, going to get into that 3rd position with ease. These 4 car slides back just a little bit on the outside, still side by side coming out of turn number 2 for that lead.
And the 32 of McWhorter going to be on the back bumper of this battle for the lead. We're going to have a 3-way dance for that top spot. Whitley and McWhorter have slightly fresher tires in the 21, but this is going to be a great little battle here as McWhorter the 77 of Whitley comes up off the corner. The 21 of Hayward continues to and the caution flag is out again on 172. And Paul, I don't want to say it. I'm going to take a look at it before I say anything. Nope. 5th time this evening, 56 has brought the yellow flag out. Take a look at it. It's all by himself. We're used to this by now, but take one more look at it.
All by himself. Came out of turn 2 pretty clean that time. Going to focus in the black and green 56 machine, and running right behind the number 15, and came off 2 okay. Came in turn 3 a little bit on the hot side. Looks all right. And this is where I believe we lose it, coming out of turn number 4. Again, all by himself. He slaps the inside wall there, down the pit road wall. Grabs the gear, gets rolled again, but I believe that's, like you said, the 5th time we've been under caution for that 56 car. So still in the lead lap, currently scored in the 17th position. We'll see what happens here in the last 15 or so laps, but a rough night for Dakota Bryan there, the rookie in the 56.
You saw Michael Yarrow drive by, was able to get by that incident. He drove by, pulled it onto the road course, and figured he has had enough. He is done for the evening. Now, the 56 car has already taken his quick repair. He is smoking like a freight train. That car, it obviously will have a meatball on it. We found that out during our figure 8 race earlier this evening on Vidane TV, that will get you a meatball flag. So I think, thankfully, that'll probably be the night for the 56. That'll be it, and I'm sure if we were on the virtual PA system at the racetrack, the fans would probably be cheering that. He'll probably finish tonight in position number 19 or 20. Ethan in the 16 car is still sitting on pit road. James Bryan is still sitting on pit road getting damage repaired. Brandon Hartwell has decided he is done for the evening. So that'll put him around 19th place at the end of this race. And bring us a little bit closer, Paul, to that time frame. But we're working 174. I think we're going to be okay on time unless we get a green-white checker finish this one, and we're going to be tight on that time frame. But Hayward and Whitley, Hayward had just enough to stay out in front of this field and hold off the 77 of Whitley. McWhorter in third. It's been able to get Clifton Ashley a little more TV time up to fourth, and Braden Caress in position number 5. Todd Neese not too far behind in 6th. Jason Adams, he hasn't had the greatest of nights, and it hasn't really been his fault. He got that quick repair. The 24 is back up to position number 7. David Neese in 8th. Cedric Hunter in 9th, and Stephen Stempnian your top 10. So, Paul, we still have, when we come back across the stripe, we'll probably go green with 14 laps to go. We have 16 laps to go right now, so still plenty of time for some action and some excitement. It's not over, but it's provided some great action tonight.
Definitely a war of attrition here. You can see the 56 car still on track, has a blown motor, blowing out a lot of black smoke there, and has driven by the entrance to pit road multiple times here under this caution. So I'm not entirely sure what the game plan is for that 56 team. Don't think he's going to lose any further positions with the remaining laps here, but he's still out on track, and we can see Hunter Hayward still leading, Mark Whitley, McWhorter up there, Clifton Ashley, Braden Karras, Neese, Adams, Neese, Hunter, Stempnian in the top 10. And the green flag racing here, Tim, has been pretty phenomenal. We've had a lot of side-by-side, some 3-wide, 4-wide racing, just a lot of cautions kind of peppered in here. But the good news with the cautions, well, I guess it's kind of bittersweet news. For the most part, they've all been single-car spins. A lot of drivers just kind of, well, a couple of drivers losing the back end of the race car, coming out of turn 2 multiple times. So it's really tough when you get a situation like that, but there you can see Whitley kind of leaning up on the 21 car, say, hey, letting you know I'm ready, so hopefully you're ready. We're going to do battle once again here. These guys are working their way down into turns 3 and 4. That pace car is going to disappear. We're going to get one more restart, and we're going to get some green flag racing in here tonight. Drivers got to be starting to looking at the clock here. It's going to be one of those things, if we do hit the time limit, it's going to go quick. We get the 3 to go, the 2 to go, and the 1 to go if we get real close to that time limit. Hasn't happened many times here on Vidane TV, but it is definitely possible. iRacing Mustang takes that hard left-hand turn down to pit road, side by side, green flag in the air. They thunder down towards turn number 1, bumper to bumper, door to door, bumper to bumper, all the way down, and they are going to be side by side as they go into 1.
Yeah, the 21 of Hunter Hayward on the outside, going to probably lose the lead here to Mark Whitley, as Whitley has those fresher tires to the inside. He will motor on to the lead. We'll see what McWhorter can do with Hayward. Hayward on a little bit older tires than the other two he is battling for the lead with, and there's Braden Caress a part of the battle as well. Do not count out the 91 as we move forward here, but 177 complete. Mark Whitley back to the top of the scoring pylon. Hunter Hayward, Joseph McWhorter, your top 3 as we continue to battle. The 21 trying to go to the outside line, but that might be, that car maybe in the tires, maybe getting a little bit away from the 21, but he has put up one heck of a fight, has passed a ton of cars here this evening, and has worked his way back up, as has McWhorter. McWhorter has passed a few cars himself. They dance for position number 2, was Caress right in behind, and trying to get up here and trying to get on the podium for the race here at Loudon, as we got one car slow on the inside. We are still green flag racing as they are putting on a show for second.
Mick Warder finally going to get the spot. He's going to be able to slide up in front of the 21 of Hayward. He's going to bring the 91 car with him. Caress moving himself into that third position. And it's one of those deals. These guys have about 20 lap fresher tires than the 21 of Hunter Hayward. So Hunter doing a really good job trying to hold on to the top 4, potentially top 5. You can see the 4 car slowly approaching there in the picture as well. But it's one of those deals. We're getting late into the race. The tires starting to wear out, and I think with 20 laps to go, these tires may kind of even out. We may be able to see Hunter Hayward kind of bounce back into the podium position. We got a car around in the back. I believe it's a 24 car, but still green potentially right now with 20 laps to go.
And that car continues to roll, and we remain green. Interested to see if Mick Warder can catch up to the 77 of Whitley. Caress has made the move on the 21 car, and the 21 car fights back. He threw it in down into corner number 1. That thing did not stick. The 91 of Caress will pick up position number 3, but it's not without effort from the 21 of Hunter Hayward. He sailed that thing on in there, Paul. It did not stick. 10 laps to go, make it 9 to go this time by.
Whitley with a commanding lead, just about a half a second in front of the 32 car. Check that, of Mick Warder. So he's still got the crosshairs kind of set on the back bumper as the caution flag comes out once again, and it appears to be the 4 car once again down on pit road. So we'll take a look at the Kong Beer Bong instant replay and find out exactly why it is we're under caution once again. And well, Tim, looks like it was all by himself.
Yeah, you don't need to guess. That's the 4th caution on the 4 car. He's going to come up here, smuck the wall, and get the wall glue, and it's not coming out of the wall. That's going to need a tow, and that's going to need a caution flag for the 4. So he'll be down on pit road, and that will, I would believe, he's already used his quick repair. That would end his night. Can we pop the caution total up here for a second, Paul? Just to see how many yellows we've had. We've had 18 cautions. So if you're counting between the 56 and the 4, half of the cautions tonight are between those 2 race cars. So it's a tough break, but maybe it's practice. Maybe it's these guys need a little more laps underneath. Whatever the case may be, 2 cars, 9 cautions in between them, 18 total on the board. It's a rough night, 68 caution laps. The racing when we have been green has been great. But now we are coming up to the end of the race. We're going to be good in the time, Paul. We're going to have 13 minutes or so to go. We're going to have less than 10 laps to go when we go back to green. Probably going to be around 5 or so when we go back to green flag competition. But the top 3, 4, 5-ish, 6 if you include Steven Stepney, I think when we see those green flag runs have been the top 6 cars. Maybe you add Michael Yarrow in there, who's retired from this race. Maybe you add Lane Doyle in there, who's retired from this race. But those have been the top 6, I would say, all night long. They've been able to stick there. Todd Neese has had a couple of good runs up into the top 5 through some strategy and what have you. Has been able to maintain. Stephen Leffler has been up in the top 10, top 5 all night long. Brad Delph has been up there a little bit too. But I think it's probably safe to say the top 6 or so have been the top 6 names we probably mentioned all night long, plus the 95. But now it's going to come down to probably a 4-lap shootout, potentially a green-white checker if these guys get feisty again. But this is going to be exciting.
100%, and just kind of taking a peek here. I mean, everybody does have an off night, so we're not trying to bash on anybody. But one thing I do want to point out, Tim, we haven't checked the weather all night long. The track temp is actually about 95 degrees, the air temp 85, and the wind was actually just blowing about 15 to 20 miles an hour. It's dropped back down to 6, and it actually changed directions from north to northeast. So that can definitely affect the race cars, the way they handle as well, especially the coming out of turn number 2. You know, it's very possible to catch a pretty heavy wind gust here in the iRacing sim on the cars and spin them on around, but made mention there's been a couple of cars that have been doing it multiple times. So probably try and grab a couple extra caution or a couple extra practice laps throughout the week or throughout the evening of the race. And we made mention these guys usually practice for about an hour or 2 officially before each race here on Sunday nights. They get the session up and they get in there, practice pit stops, and they practice doing some hot laps, checking their qualifying setups, but they also go in there and check their race setups as well. They want to see how the cars kind of handle around other drivers, and very obviously with everybody's real life schedules being all sorts of hectic, some drivers have a little bit more time to practice than others, and sometimes it shows. We got the 77, the 32, the 91, the 21, the 11, the 81, all these guys up front: Whitley, McWhorter, Caress, Hayward, Hunters, Stempy, and Nice, Leffler and Delph up in the top 10, and those drivers have been in and out into the top 10 all evening long. So it's definitely showing that the cream rises to the top. The more you practice on some of these more difficult flat racetracks, the better, and the better you're going to come out on top.
So we will go back to green with 4 laps remaining in this one, unless we get a caution flag in the next 3, which would trigger a green-white checker finish, and we are going to have plenty of time to finish that off. We got 10 minutes left to get this thing completed, finished, and in the book. Whitley, McWhorter, Caress, Hayward, and Hunter. Your top 5: Stempney and Todd Nice, David Nice, Stephen Leffler, and Brad Delph, your top 10. Pace car is in field and command of Mark Whitley. Green flag is in the air. We are back underway, and Whitley got a great start, but I think McWhorter's going to be hanging on the right rear as we go down into corner number 1 here.
Anybody's race still at this point. You can see those top 5 drivers just crinkling right up together, bumper to bumper, throughout length of chain, and between those 3 drivers on the inside, and it probably wouldn't tight. We're going to go 3 wide almost. As Cedric thinks better of it, he's going to tuck back in behind the 21. He's going to try and take that high line around the number 91 to see if he can move himself up closer to the front, side by side for 4th, single file 1, 2, 3. This is going to be a shootout.
Battle, I think, is going to be for 3rd. Hunter Hayward was able to take it up back on the high side from the 91, and now the 91 of Caress has Hunter to the outside. So Hunter Hayward was able to take away position number 3, but it's going to be contested here because Cedric Hunter in the 11, the 91 of Braden Caress, and actually the 81 of Stempney part of this battle as well, too. So we are coming down to the end of this. Somebody's going to get a podium finish, and I think there's going to be 3 drivers in this battle that are going to be quite disappointed. The 11 car, it nearly got away from him, but a great piece of driving to save that Hello Kitty number 11. Might not get that top 5 finish that he wants to, Paul, but that was a great save. Pat on the back to keep this thing green.
Crossing the line last time by popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Whitley has the command, 0.3 of a second over second place Joseph McWhorter. Hunter Hayward still up in the mix. The 91 and the 81 still fighting to try and hold on to the top 5 position as well. Brendan Caress, Steven Stempy, and Cedric Hunter, he's still back in the game trying to get that 5th position back. White flag is in the air. Mark Whitley, all he's got to do is check the cross his T's, dot his I's, finish up these couple of corners, and bring home the victory as he heads on down to turn number 3. It's all 77.
He started this race from the pole position, and it looks like he is going to wrap it up in a P number 1, but it was far from easy as they come through corners number 3 and 4, and Mark Whitley going to be a winner once again in Sim Racing Unleashed, this time at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Joseph McWhorter in second, and Paul, they wrecked for position number 3, I believe, or there was a tussle for that 3rd place position. Hunter Hayward still going to come away with it. Cedric Hunter, top 5 run. Stephen Stempney in 5th. Stephen Leffler, Todd Nice, Brad Delph, David Nice, and Mark Koschik, your top 10. Robert Scheiswick going to come home in position number 11. Jason Adams comes home in 12th. Braden Caress in 13th after being a part of that little battle at the end. You see it there in between, and ooh, yeah, he got the chrome horn at the end of that from Hunter Hayward. I'm sure there's going to be some tough feelings there maybe between those 2 near the end, but I think that's kind of the story of the race when you look at it at the end of this one. Terry Duguay is going to come home in, well, he's going to come home in 14th, and Art Milne in 15th with he's going to need a new rear and front clip on that race car, I believe, too. The drivers behind them did not finish. Clifton Ashley, Dakota Bryan, Michael Yarrow, James Bryan, Ethan Makwa, Brandon Hartwell, Lane Doyle, Byron Bartlett, Buzz, Chris Miller, and Aaron Bradford did not start and saved themselves 2 hours and 17 minutes from this one. But look at this celebration on the front straightaway. Mark Whitley, Joseph McWhorter, the 2 teammates lighting it up. Great finish, great celebration for those 2. We will talk to them and Hunter Hayward in just a moment, and I think they're going to need some new motors in that shop as well. But what a show, Paul. We talked about the attrition. We talked about the maybe some unpreparedness between some of these drivers, but the top 3, 5-ish, we're the top 5 all night long. We'll catch up with a couple of these drivers. We'll begin with our third place finisher, Hunter Hayward. Hunter, what happened there in the last lap? Some hard racing in between yourself and the 91. What happened there at the end?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. This race was a lot of aggressive racing all day today. I obviously didn't mean to get in the 91, and I apologize to him, but I guess it was just hard racing, all fighting for that top 3 position. Kind of got together. It was just a little bit of a racing incident. I knew we had a really good car all day. I think the 77 was the only car we just had to work really hard to beat him. So,
considering the way the aggressive nature was and the tire strategy that you had, it coming together near the end, how happy are you with a third place finish tonight?
Oh man, I am stoked. I did not expect this at all. I was probably about 50 laps or 60 laps down on tires of Cedric and Stempian, so I'm just happy I kind of kept the tires under me. I had a really good car today and just stayed patient all around and didn't use the up too much.
And comes home with a third place finish. Congratulations. That's Hunter Hayward. We'll move on to Joseph McWhorter, and there's a driver. Joseph, you passed a lot of race cars tonight to come back to position number 2. How are you able to maintain your composure, especially early in the race, and come back to a second place run?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely did pass a lot of cars tonight. But I had my crew chief and my slash spotter in my ear, Jonathan Smith, and he did a really good job trying to calm me down and everything, and just making really good calls, calling me where to go, calling what's around me and stuff, keeping me really aware. I think that was really what helped, and just being patient, especially with all these resources and stuff. So we had a really fast car, definitely not fast enough to beat Mark tonight, but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I'll take a second place finish. It's a good comeback after getting spun.
Mark had a really good race car. What else did you need tonight to try to top that 77 at the end of the day?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I just could not get off the corner at all. I just did not have the drive off that he did, but he practiced a lot, and I think more time in behind the wheel of the car I think would have helped tonight, but that's just not a luxury that I have, so I kind of do what I can and with the hour practice that we have, and just practice.
Well, it's a good second place run here tonight. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I go, I just want to thank everybody, you guys, for putting on a really good broadcast. Want to thank Driven Motorsports, Mark Whitley on an amazing win, Jonathan Smith for spotting, Bioside Gaming for being primary sponsor, 1077 Sage, and I want to give a shout out to Cedric Hunter. I know this was a really hard race for him tonight. He had a loss in the family, and just want to say thinking about you, brother. It was good seeing you out on track, and really wish you were in the top 3. So
it's a great run for you and a great run for Cedric as well. Congratulations, Joseph.
Thank you. You guys have a good one. See you guys next week.
That's Joseph McWhorter, second place. Mark Whitley is your winner tonight. Mark, the box score is going to look good. Starts first, finish first, but we know it wasn't that easy. Talk about your night and having to come through, especially on the pit strategy, considering there was 2 or 3 different strategies throughout this thing tonight. How did you get it done?
Yeah, well, I feel like we had the probably the fastest car on the medium to long run, and on the short run, I felt pretty good. Maybe there was only 1 or 2 other guys that were with us. It was just about staying out there, and we kept getting all those cautions, and I was just trying to figure out, when I needed to take. We only had 3 sets of tires in the pits, so I was just trying to figure out when to use them, and I was kind of surprised when the first time I pitted, and a lot of other people didn't, so that kind of put us on different strategies. And then after the longer the race went, everybody was on just different ones. Like, different people had different ideas on how good the tires still were. I mean, we weren't getting very long green flag runs, so they weren't wearing too much. But 3 or 4 or 5 lap runs, that's 20 laps on tires, so it'll add up. But I was just trying to play it smart, trying to make sure I had as fresh a tires as I needed to at the end of the race to make sure I could stay up front, because I knew as long as I could avoid the trouble, I'd be back up front. And it was just about trying to get back up there, and had a nice little battle there with Hunter when I got back to the front for the last time, and he was holding me off pretty good. I know he had some older tires, but it was pretty fun. little hectic and a little crazy coming through the field a few times. I was just trying to make sure I don't put anybody in some bad positions. So I was always just making sure I didn't do nothing too stupid or too crazy or throw it in there like when people weren't expecting it. So it was a fun race, a little bit longer than I was hoping, but a win's a win, especially with 4 in a row. It's more than I could have ever hoped for.
Paul had mentioned earlier we're coming down towards the end of the season. How big is it momentum-wise to pick up these wins and kind of put that momentum on your back coming towards the end of the year?
Oh, it's huge. I'm a bit of a math nerd, so after every race, whenever they update the points, I'm sitting there doing some calculations, figuring it out, and we got 2 drop weeks, so I've been trying to figure out what I need to do these last 2 races before the last 2 races, trying to see if I can't try to clinch it, because those last 2 are at Bristol and Talladega, and those are kind of wild card races. So trying to get it, or get a good little cushion, or maybe even try to clinch it if possible before then. I got to do some math after they get these points up, but I think from what I remember, I think as long as I finish within 10 points of Hunter next week, I might be good. But that's the main thing right now. Is the championship. Just trying to string as many good finishes as possible. And I never would have thought 4 in a row. That is amazing, especially the level of talent out here. It's just been an amazing season so far. It's been one of my best seasons putting together. So just trying to ride that momentum.
Well, the way you've been rolling, it's going to be hard to beat the 77 going forward in these next few races. Sponsors on the card, teammates, who makes it happen for you?
I got to give a big old shout out to my teammates at Driven Motorsports. I know Joseph, he got a second place finish there, and he the whole race he was like, I ain't really got much for you, but we were racing, but whenever I would kind of pull away from him a little bit, he would try to make it a little bit harder on some people, so I could try to get away from him. We didn't really need it in the end, but great teammate. Johnson Smith is a spotter, team owner. I got to give a shout out to my wonderful parents and my grandparents. I know they're tuning in, watching. I already got a text from a couple of them. Wonderful fiance putting up with my crazy madness here every race night. I got to thank y'all for putting on this awesome broadcast. I can't wait to go back and watch this one. It should be a very interesting one, to say the least.
It was a wild one for sure. Congratulations, Mark.
Thanks.
There you go, Paul. Top 3 here at Loudon, and the top 5, top 6, they did a phenomenal job tonight putting on a show. Tough break for Michael Yarrow. Ran well tonight. Didn't get the finish he deserved. A couple of others at the back hung around the top 5, top 10 all night long. Just didn't get the finish that they wanted. But congratulations to Mark Whitley, Joseph McWhorter, Hunter Hayward, even Cedric Hunter and Stephen Stempney. And great show. We expect those drivers to run up front on Sunday nights at Sim Racing Unleashed. A couple of drivers, I think, need to go back to the drawing board and take a look at their night. They're probably hanging their head. There's probably some that are a couple embarrassed, Paul, about what happened tonight. But they'll roll on. It's just like any race or any race car driver. You park that, you move on to next week. And as Mark mentioned, there's a couple of big racetracks coming up that could play some wild cards in this. Excited to see how this, unfolds at Vidane TV, but we got some exciting racing coming up. I know the Sim 500 Trans Service Cup Series coming up tomorrow night. I believe they're racing Rockingham, if memory serves me correctly, on Monday night. And then obviously we have Tim's Corner live. We're going to talk to Dylan Blankhorn and Sam Rogers tomorrow night. Off day on Tuesday. Wednesday is a doubleheader once again. It's the TCM All-Star Open coming up for the non-winners of the TCM Series on Wednesday night, 7:30 Eastern at New Smyrna. Then we got some racing with the Fatheads Cup Series, I believe, on Wednesday night. And then Thursday is the All-Star Showcase for TCM. So it's a busy week here on Vidane TV. We hope you can stick with us. Paul, final thoughts, take us home. It's been a long night, but a hell of a show up in front with those drivers.
Absolutely, and these Sim Racing Unleashed drivers always put on a really good show here. Couple of cautions here tonight, but still some great green flag racing. Still taking a final look. Doesn't look like the points have been officially updated yet, so if you're curious about that, head on over to SimRacingUnleashed.com and just keep hitting that F5 or that refresh button once the points get uploaded here tonight for these drivers. 3 races to go. Dover, Bristol, and then Talladega, and Mark made mention those are 3 tracks that have a big question mark over top of them. So it's going to be interesting the next handful of Sundays here for Sim Racing Unleashed to see who's going to come home with this championship. But great night of racing, long night of racing, over 2.5 hours here for this particular race. And it's a long night for the drivers, long night for the commentary guys. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight, for tuning in on Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, a share, a subscribe, all that good stuff on the social media outlets. Check us out on Twitter at Vidane TV, and pick yourself up a Vidane TV hat or a hooded sweatshirt. We got some stickers, all sorts of good stuff at vidane.shop, and you can check out all the different designs we've got. Going to be adding some more in there this coming week, and hopefully the ink is finally going to dry and all the stuff's going to come in the mail for all the important big-time announcements that we've got here for Vidane TV. So keep an eye out on the Facebook page for that announcement. A couple of announcements actually coming up here at Vidane TV. So pretty excited for it. And keep an eye out for the design of the Vidane TV number 6 car that's going to be running at Stafford Motor Speedway under the Rent a Race Car banner in their Street Stock program. So lots of cool stuff coming up. Real racing, sim racing. We do it all here on Vidane TV. But we'll catch you on the flip side when we do. We're going to be doing it live. Have yourselves a fantastic night.